Chapter 26:57. The mountain range had become like this because the 12 dark nights were resting there. A group of cultivators entered the mountain range to search for the whereabouts of the 12 dark nights. Soon, they saw the mounts of the 12 dark nights lying outside a valley. Those mounts were draconic rhinoceros beasts. These draconic rhinoceros beasts were covered in purple scales. They had the body of a chelan and the head of a dragon, but they had rhinoceros horns. Hence, they were called draconic rhinoceros beasts. These draconic rhinoceros beasts were very powerful. Their bodies emitted a terrifying aura that could suffocate people. Ordinary people did not dare to provoke such a terrifying creature. When the draconic rhinoceros beasts saw the group of cultivators outside the valley, they let out low roars. When the group of cultivators heard the roars of the draconic rhinoceros beasts, their faces turned as pale as paper. The draconic rhinoceros beasts gave them an extremely powerful pressure. This oppressive force caused the souls of these cultivators to tremble. "Lords, we have something important to report," a cultivator said. "What is it?" A voice came from the valley. "Young Masterin was killed." The cultivator said, "What? Say that again." Just as the cultivator finished speaking, another cold voice came from the valley. In the next moment, the void split open and a cultivator walked out. That cultivator came to the front of the cultivator who spoke. The cultivator who walked out was slender and unusually handsome. He looked somewhat similar to an Yes Hang, who was killed by Lin Foam. This person was called an Yuqian, one of the 12 dark knights. The rest of the dark knights also walked out. They could ignore the deaths of others, but an Yes Hang was an Yuqian's younger brother. Naturally, they had to be concerned. The 12 dark knights were not all men. There were 8 men and 4 women. Among the 4 women, 2 of them were tall and slender with beautiful faces. Most importantly, the 2 of them looked exactly the same. They were obviously twin sisters. The elder sister was called Lu Xianla, and the younger sister was called Lu Xianmei. Although the sisters looked the same, there were some differences. The elder sister, Lu Xianla, had a cold temperament. The younger sister, Lu Xianmei, was obviously a fox-like woman, charming and enchanting. As for the other 2 women, one of them wore a veil and was more mysterious. The other person had a cute and innocent look, but to be able to become one of the 12 dark knights, obviously, it wasn't as simple as it seemed. Being stared at by an Yetian, the cultivator's body trembled slightly. He said in a trembling voice, "Young Masterin was killed." After hearing the cultivator's words, and Yetian's body emitted a terrifying killing intent. He asked coldly, Who killed Knight Sorrow?" "We don't know that brat, but he is with Hua Mengdai, Nangong Chiming, and the others from the fairy great world." The cultivator said aloud, and Yetian didn't ask about the reason for the conflict. When cultivators fought, they only cared about the result, without asking for the reason. "No matter who he is, I will kill him." And Yu Qian said with an indifferent expression, "Chasing Sun." And Yetian looked at a draconic rhinoceros beast. That was his mount, named Chasing Sun by an Yetian. Roar. The draconic rhinoceros beast seemed to have felt its master's killing intent and anger, so it couldn't help but let out a low roar after standing up. The draconic rhinoceros beast flew into the air, and Yetian leaped up and straddled Zhue Ri's body. The other 11 dark riders also sat on their mounts. "Yetian, we will also help you search for that brat." The 11 dark riders said in unison, "All right, let's split up. When we see that brat, kill him without mercy." And Yetian's voice was filled with endless coldness and killing intent. "Don't worry, if we see that brat, we will definitely bring his head to you." The others said one after another. Roar. Bestial roars could be heard one after another. The 12 draconic rhinoceros beasts carried the 12 dark riders and quickly rushed into the distance, beginning to search for Lin Feng's whereabouts in the mountain forest. 3 days later, Lin Feng and the others arrived at their destination. In front of them was a huge lake. Why is it a lake? Shouldn't this be a huge mountain range? Nangong Yuchi said doubtfully, holding a map in her hand. The final destination on the map was the location of the secret plane. That was where the lake was now. Lin Feng said, "The sun and moon change, so it should be quite normal for the landscape to change." Hua Mengdai said, "If that's the case, then it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens for us to find the entrance to the secret plane. Are we going to make a wasted trip? Are we going to be happy for nothing?" The group of female cultivators sighed one after another. Lin Feng said, "That's not necessarily the case. Let's enter the lake and see if we can find anything." As soon as his voice fell, Lin Feng waved his hand and condensed a huge energy shield. The energy shield enveloped the dozen or so female cultivators. Then Lin Feng led the dozen or so female cultivators into the lake. In the depths of the lake, inside a cave mansion, swish, swish, a pair of cold eyes opened, looking at Lin Feng and the others who had entered the lake. Lin Feng and the others, that terrifying existence, rushed out of the cave abode. It turned out to be a huge golden python. That python was at least 1,000 meters long, even larger than the bodies of many of the dragons. Its whole body was covered with golden scales. This was the legendary primordial golden python, an extremely terrifying giant python. Its bloodline was extremely tyrannical, even more powerful than the ancient serpent. The strength of this primordial golden python was extremely terrifying. Its huge body quickly swam toward Lin Feng and the others. Bubbles. So many bubbles. There seems to be something quickly approaching us from below. A female cultivator said. Another female cultivator said, "It should be a ferocious beast that lives in the lake." As soon as the female cultivator's voice fell, the primordial golden python had already rushed up. "It's the primordial golden python." The female cultivators exclaimed. Their pretty faces were as pale as paper. They were naturally no match for an existence like the primordial golden python. If they were to fight against the primordial golden python, they would probably die. But fortunately, Lin Feng was here. They knew that Lin Feng was powerful and could definitely deal with the primordial golden python. A ferocious beast like the primordial golden python must be very intelligent. We can subdue this primordial golden python and ask it for information. Chapter 2658. Roar. The chaos golden python let out an earth-shattering roar, and then its huge body pounced toward Lin Feng and the others. This behemoth directly opened its bloody mouth to devour Lin Feng and the others, wanting to eat Lin Feng and the others in one bite. Lin Feng raised his right hand and directly used the sky splitter, condensing a dazzling saber light. The saber light slashed toward the chaos golden python, as if it was tearing the world apart. With a clang, it slashed the chaos golden python's body. Sparks flew everywhere. The scales of the chaos golden python were directly torn by Lin Feng, and blood immediately flowed out. What a powerful attack! Hua, Mengdai, Nangong Yuchi, and the others all looked at Lin Feng in amazement. The chaos golden python was known for its powerful physical body. In particular, the scales of the chaos golden python were exceptionally strong. They were even stronger than many powerful magic treasures of the quasi-emperor level. However, the scales with such strong defensive power were unable to block Lin Feng's attack. Now, Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuchi, and the others were full of deep admiration for Lin Feng. In addition to admiration, they were also very curious about Lin Feng. Lin Feng hadn't told him anything about his background. Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuqi, and the others did not want to pry into Lin Feng's privacy. They were all guessing Lin Feng's identity. What force was he from? What bloodline? What had he experienced? How could he be so powerful? Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuqi, and the others were now extremely curious about Lin Feng and wanted to know more about Lin Feng. Roar, after being injured, the Chaos Golden Python roared angrily, and its huge tail suddenly stirred the lake water. Suddenly, in the lake, huge waves rolled. The Chaos Golden Python's mountain-like tail directly whipped toward Lin Feng and the others. Quickly go to sleep. Lin Feng sneered and slapped the huge tail of the Chaos Golden Python. Bang! The powerful blow collided with the primordial golden python's tail and sent the primordial golden python flying. Lin Feng jumped forwards and put his foot on the golden python's head. The huge body of the primordial golden python fell towards the bottom of the lake. Clang! It smashed into the rocks at the bottom of the lake. Submit or die. Lin Feng looked at the primitive golden python indifferently. There was an indescribable domineering aura around him. Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuqi, and the others couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. Because they all came from the fairy great world, they rarely interacted with the male cultivators outside. When it came to matters of the heart, it was naturally a blank slate. But now, her heart was filled with butterflies. This caused Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuqi, and the others' heartbeats to quicken. That feeling seemed to be one of shyness, joy, and some vague ambiguity. Lin Gongzi is really amazing. Even such a powerful primordial golden python couldn't last more than a few rounds against Lin Gongzi, a female cultivator said. The others nodded in agreement. Lin Feng's powerful strength had deeply convinced the group of female cultivators from the fairy great world. Moreover, it left a deep imprint in their hearts. It was a kind of imprint that could not be erased no matter what. I submit. The primordial golden python spoke in human language. Having cultivated to its level, it was normal for it to be able to speak human language. In the face of dignity and life, the primordial golden python chose life without hesitation. Whatever I ask you, you will answer honestly. If you dare to lie, you will be beheaded without mercy. Lin Feng said coldly, Yes, yes, yes. I won't lie to you. The primordial golden python hurriedly said. Lin Feng asked, Have you heard of a secret place here? I have. It is said that there is a secret place hidden here, but no one knows where it is. The primordial golden python replied. Then, is there anything special about this place? Lin Feng asked. The primordial golden python began to ponder. After pondering for a while, the primordial golden python said, If there is a special place, there is indeed one. Lin Feng, Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuqi, and the others' eyes lit up. Where is it? Lin Feng asked. The storm abyss. It is located in the depths of the lake. That is the abyss at the bottom of the lake. Within the abyss, there is a terrifying storm. Anyone caught in the storm will die, without a doubt. In the past, many powerful cultivators and creatures have entered to explore it, but no one has ever come out alive. Therefore, that place is extremely dangerous. Is that the place you are looking for? The primordial golden python said. Lin Feng looked at Hua Mengdai and said, It seems that the entrance might really be in the storm abyss. We need to enter and explore it. All right, let the primordial golden python bring us there. Hua Mengdai said. Lin Feng nodded, then looked at the primordial golden python and said, Bring us to the storm abyss. Yes, young master. Everyone, please follow me. The primordial golden python said. Then, It quickly swam toward the depths of the lake. The lake was extremely large, covering an area of over 100 miles. After a quarter of an hour, Lin Feng and the others arrived outside the storm abyss. Looking from afar, a huge abyss at the bottom of the lake appeared in their line of sight. Terrifying storm energy surged out from the abyss at the bottom of the lake. Waves after waves of powerful fluctuations surged out and permeated the void, emitting a suffocating pressure. "Young master, please take a look. That is the storm abyss." The primordial golden python said. Lin Feng and the others carefully observed the storm abyss. The aura of the storm abyss was too terrifying, causing one's soul to palpitate. It was definitely filled with danger. Originally, the hurricane pearl would have been able to display its miraculous effect. Unfortunately, I can't bring it in. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel a little regretful. If he had brought the hurricane pearl in, he could rely on the hurricane pearl. He could easily travel through the storm abyss. "Lin Gongzi, what do you plan to do?" Hua Mengdai looked at Lin Feng. Nangong Yuqi and the others also looked at Lin Feng. These people now regarded Lin Feng as their leader, seeking Lin Feng's opinion on everything. Lin Feng said, "We can take the risk and enter. If it's dangerous, we can come out in time. We obtained a treasure earlier. Perhaps we can use it." Nangong Yuqi said, "What treasure?" Lin Feng asked in surprise. Nangong Yuqi stretched out her right hand, and a crystal palace appeared in her hand. Chapter 2659. This crystal palace can become bigger or smaller, and its defense is very strong. As long as you pour your magic power into the crystal palace, this crystal palace can be activated. "Very well," Nangong Yuqi said. "Good. With this treasure, we'll be much safer in the storm abyss," Lin Feng said with a nod. At this moment, Nangong Yuqi poured her magic power into the crystal palace. Buzz. Waves of intense energy fluctuations surged out of the crystal palace. Next, the crystal palace rapidly expanded. "Young master, I have a presumptuous request. I would like to follow you into the storm abyss to broaden my horizons. I hope you can bring me along." The python said, "All right, transform into your human form and follow us." Lin Feng said. He wasn't afraid of the python playing any tricks. If it really dared to do so, Lin Feng could easily kill it. This bit of confidence, Lin Feng still had it. Swish! With a flash of light, the python transformed into a man. The man that the golden python had transformed into looked very young and very handsome. He was wearing a golden robe, but his appearance was somewhat feminine. The group entered the crystal palace. Next, Nangong Yuqi activated the crystal palace. Immediately, waves of intense energy fluctuations spread out from the crystal palace. Rumble! The crystal palace flew up and flew towards the storm abyss. Soon, it reached the top of the storm abyss. Then, a powerful storm surged and engulfed the crystal palace. It seemed like it wanted to destroy the crystal palace. However, the crystal palace was very powerful. Runes swirled around it and blocked the storm's attack. This treasure is not bad. Lin Feng couldn't help but click his tongue in wonder. The crystal palace should be a defense-type treasure. It was unknown who had forged it, but it was very suitable for such a situation. The crystal palace flew toward the bottom of the abyss. The deeper it went, the stronger the storm became. Lin Feng couldn't help but ask, curiously, how was this storm abyss formed? The primitive golden python said, "I don't know. My ancestors have occupied this lake for many years. It is said that the storm abyss was formed before the lake was formed. Are there no clues about the formation of the storm abyss?" Lin Feng could not help but ask. The primitive golden python said, "If you're talking about clues, there is one. One of my ancestors once left behind a passage saying that the storm abyss was formed suddenly. Suddenly formed? Lin Feng was even more surprised. He continued asking, "Did your ancestor leave behind anything else?" "No, that's all he wrote. He didn't write anything else." The primitive golden python said. Lin Feng couldn't help but stroke his chin. It seemed that the ancestor of the primordial golden python must have known something amazing. This matter had an inseparable relationship with the formation of the storm abyss, but his ancestor didn't dare to reveal too much about it. Therefore, he only wrote that the storm abyss was suddenly formed, and nothing else was written. This made Lin Feng ponder. What did the formation of the storm abyss have to do with it? Perhaps the answer lies in the storm abyss. The Crystal Palace was descending rapidly. When it reached the central region, a sharp, ear-piercing sound suddenly came from below. A few of the weaker female cultivators immediately covered their ears in pain. This was a terrifying soul attack. Lin Feng hurriedly used his powerful magic to seal the Crystal Palace, using his powerful magic to block the sound attack. Only then did the female cultivators' expressions improve. "Thank you, Lin Gongzi." The female cultivators looked at Lin Feng with watery eyes. Lin Feng said, "Fairies, there's no need to be so polite. Look down there. There are so many insects." Nangong Yuchi pointed at the insects below. They were pitch-black insects, and they were densely packed together. It was unknown how many of them there were, but it was a terrifying sight to behold. The ones that had released the sound attack earlier were those pitch-black insects. Currently, those pitch-black insects were rapidly flying towards the Crystal Palace. The insects could be described as covering the sky and covering the earth. There were simply too many of them, so many that it was shocking. They're wind insects. These insects live in storms and can use the power of the storm to increase their cultivation. That's why their attacks are so powerful. A single colony has at least tens of millions of wind insects. Some larger colonies might have hundreds of millions or even billions of wind insects. Once you encounter such a terrifying creature, it'll be extremely dangerous. Lin Feng's expression couldn't help but become solemn. The classic of mountains and seas had records of wind insects. It was written in the classic of mountains and seas that there were insects that were born in the wind. They were shaped like thin blades and could devour storms as well as the essence of all living things. Now that wind insects had appeared here, the situation was naturally extremely dangerous. When the others heard the words wind insects, their expressions changed. His expression changed abruptly. They should have heard of the windworm. Clang, 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 clang. The densely packed wind insects gathered together and began to attack the Crystal Palace. The earth-shattering wind insects fiercely slammed into the Crystal Palace. The wind insects' attacks were simply too powerful. Crack, crack. The defensive runes outside the Crystal Palace were torn apart. Of course, this situation was extremely bad. If the Crystal Palace was destroyed, Lin Feng and the others would have to face these wind insects head-on. There were so many of them. Once they were surrounded by wind insects, it would be a dead end. Therefore, for Lin Feng and the others, it could be said that if they took another step forward, they would fall into a bottomless abyss. Lin Feng looked at Nangong Yuchi and said, "I'll use the heavenly fire to envelop the Crystal Palace and attack these wind insects. You push the Crystal Palace to the limit, and we'll rush down as fast as we can." These wind insects have very special habits. They only live in the center of the storm. If they go to other areas, they won't be able to adapt, and will die. Therefore, they won't follow us down. Okay, Nangong Yuchi hurriedly nodded. Lin Feng released the 4 heavenly fires. The 4 heavenly fires enveloped the Crystal Palace. Ordinary flames would be extinguished by the storm, but the heavenly fires wouldn't be extinguished. The heavenly fires would never be extinguished. After the heavenly fires enveloped the Crystal Palace, a large number of wind insects that crashed into the Crystal Palace died. However, even more wind insects fearlessly attacked the Crystal Palace. The runes outside the Crystal Palace were constantly destroyed. Chapter 2660. Hua Mengdai and the others took action as well, helping Nangong Yuchi to activate the Crystal Palace. With everyone's combined efforts, the Crystal Palace was finally activated. Swoosh! The Crystal Palace released waves after waves of intense energy fluctuations. Next, the Crystal Palace rushed downwards at high speed. Suddenly, a series of ear-piercing screeches rang out. It was probably the Wind Bug King's command. The swarm of wind bugs began to madly attack the Crystal Palace. The restrictions of the Crystal Palace were constantly being damaged. Fortunately, Lin Feng's Skyfire had killed a large number of wind bugs, and the Crystal Palace's defenses were strong enough. Finally, the Crystal Palace rushed out of the central region of the storm abyss and rapidly flew toward the depths. The swarm of wind bugs screeched furiously, but they could no longer stop Lin Feng's group. The wind bugs did not dare to chase after them, so they could only watch as Lin Feng's group left. They had no way of stopping Lin Feng's group. Seeing the swarm of wind bugs return, the group could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The wind bugs were truly terrifying. However, now that the wind bugs had left, Lin Feng's group no longer had to worry about the threat of the wind bugs. They entered the bottom region of the storm abyss and drove the Crystal Palace through the region. Look, there are many skeletons at the bottom region. The desolate golden python pointed at the scattered skeletons. Lin Feng said, "They should be the skeletons of the experts who entered the storm abyss, right?" "That's very likely." The others nodded in agreement. They might have been killed by the wind bugs. Hua Mengdai said, "The swarm of wind bugs was too terrifying. If it weren't for Lin Feng's 4 Skyfires and the Crystal Palace's powerful defenses, they would have died along the way. Everyone, be careful. In the depths of the storm abyss, there might be even more dangerous creatures." Lin Feng reminded them. Everyone's heart shuddered slightly. They all nodded in agreement. They could not afford to be careless in such a dangerous place. Otherwise, they might very well lose their lives here. At that time, they would have no tears to cry. "What's that?" A female cultivator pointed into the distance and saw some terrifying, fierce beasts coming out of the ground. These experts looked like big lizards, but their bodies were like crocodiles, bumpy. Their eyes flashed with a green light, and their bodies emitted a fishy smell. Moreover, their tails were like scorpions. The barb flickered with a blue luster. It was obvious that it was highly toxic. Devil lizard. The primordial golden python's expression changed abruptly. "Is this the devil lizard?" Lin Feng's face also revealed an extremely shocked expression. He had heard of such a terrifying creature as the devil lizard. These creatures lived underground, and their bodies were usually 5 to 8 meters long. They possessed a terrifying poison, and it was said that as long as there was enough of this poison, one would die. Even great emperors could be killed by the poison. Devil lizards were social creatures. Other than its venom, its claws, teeth, and tail were the sharpest weapons. Furthermore, the devil lizard had mastered a type of energy attack. The devil lizard can brew a special energy ball, which can be spat out from the devil lizard's mouth. This energy ball didn't just contain a powerful destructive force. It also contained a highly toxic poison. If one was attacked by this energy ball, the slightest carelessness could lead to a tragic death. Now that so many devil lizards had appeared, it was definitely a huge problem. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the devil lizards spat out energy balls at the Crystal Palace. These devil lizards were very intelligent. They chose to attack Lin Feng and the others from a distance. This way, they could avoid casualties. This was the best way to ambush the enemy. Bang, bang, bang. One energy ball after another bombarded the Crystal Palace. Crack, crack. The Crystal Palace's defensive runes kept crumbling, and cracks began to appear on the palace. This situation probably wouldn't last for long. Perhaps it wouldn't take long. The Crystal Palace was about to be destroyed. The devil lizards were a much greater threat than the wind insects. Lin Feng frowned. The situation was dangerous, but he was at his wits' end. He couldn't think of a way to deal with the devil lizards. "I'll deal with these guys," said the primordial golden python. "You'll go." Lin Feng looked at the primordial golden python in surprise. He didn't expect the primordial golden python to take the initiative to deal with the devil lizards. The primordial golden python clan is the nemesis of these underground creatures. Although there are many devil lizards, as long as I'm careful, I'll definitely be able to deal a heavy blow to them. At that time, we'll definitely be able to scare them away. "I'll go with you." Lin Feng thought for a moment and said, "All right, but young master must be careful. Don't let the devil lizards hurt your body. Once they pierce your skin, their poison will enter your body. At that time, it will be difficult to cure you," said the primordial golden python with a solemn expression. Lin Feng knew how terrifying the devil lizard's poison was. He nodded and looked at Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuqi, and the others. He said, "Stay in the palace. Don't go out." "You must be careful," said Hua Mengdai. Nangong Yuqi said, "Don't die outside. If you die outside, no one will be able to bicker with me." "Don't worry. I'll live well." Lin Feng smiled. He held the war spear and rushed out with the primordial golden python. Roar! The primordial golden python roared and transformed into its true body. Its huge body was 1,000 meters long, and its thick tail whipped towards the devil lizards. The devil lizards pounced towards Lin Feng and the primordial golden python in a frenzy. Total annihilation. Lin Feng roared and swept out with his spear. Bang, 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 bang. The devil lizards were swept away by Lin Feng. However, the bodies of the devil lizards that were swept away by Lin Feng directly exploded, and they were killed on the spot. The primordial golden python's thick tail also whipped many devil lizards to death. However, there were too many devil lizards. An endless stream of devil lizards came out from the surrounding caves. Those caves should be connected to the devil lizard's nest. The devil lizards quickly rushed to the front of the primordial golden python and lay on its body. They opened their bloody mouths and bit the scales on the primordial golden python's body. Although the primordial golden python's defense was strong, its scales were still torn off by the devil lizards. The devil lizards that broke through the primordial golden python's defense opened their mouths and bit towards the primordial golden python's body. Rip! The devil lizards bit off a large piece of flesh from the primordial golden python's body. Roar! Chapter 26:61. The primal golden python wasn't injured, but the poison in the devil lizard's body was continuously entering the primal golden python's body. The primal golden python's body twitched violently. Not good. Lin Feng's expression changed abruptly, and he quickly rushed toward the primal golden python. However, the devil lizards were still rushing toward him. The situation was extremely dangerous. Rumble! At this moment, the Crystal Palace flew toward Lin Feng and crashed into the devil lizards that were rushing toward Lin Feng. Bang! Bang! Lin Feng took advantage of this opportunity to rush toward the primal golden python. Swish! 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 He waved his battle spear, shooting out spear lights. The spear lights pierced through the bodies of the devil lizards, one after another. The primal golden python returned to its human form, and its body was covered in wounds. Run! I can't take it anymore. The primal golden python's body turned black. The poison was too deep. I'll help you stop these devil lizards, said the primal golden python. Its body began to swell, as if it wanted to self-destruct and perish together with the devil lizards. Many people said that beasts were cunning, but Lin Feng was touched by the primal golden python's actions. He patted the primal golden python's shoulder and said, "Don't be rash. Don't give up on yourself. I'll bring you back to life." Lin Feng then began to sing, "Oh, the great Tao of destiny. You've ruled the fate of countless living beings. I see the primal golden python's fate. It won't die here. This is its fate." As the great destiny technique was activated, the power of destiny descended from the sky and entered the primal golden python's body. Lin Feng wanted to use the power of destiny to help the primal golden python resist the poison in its body. Whether or not it could resist the devil lizard's poison would depend on the primal golden python's luck. The primal golden python closed its eyes and began to resist the poison with all its might. At this time, the Crystal Palace flew over. Lin Feng sent the desolate golden python into the Crystal Palace. "Lin Gongzi, let's escape. If we fight to the death, we might be able to escape," Hua Mengdai said. Lin Feng felt more and more that there were some great secrets hidden in this abyss. He was really unwilling to escape like this. However, Lin Feng had no other way to deal with these devil lizards, although he didn't want to leave. However, Lin Feng also knew that he had to think of a way to escape now. Otherwise, he might really lose his life here. "All right, let's go," Lin Feng shouted loudly. He was just about to enter the Crystal Palace and activate the Crystal Palace with everyone to think of a way to escape. Right at this moment, the primordial golden python's body suddenly emitted a terrifying wave of energy. Then, its body flashed with golden light. Everyone looked at the primitive golden python in shock, not understanding what was going on. Could it be? Lin Feng was shocked. He thought of a possibility. The predestination force helped the primitive golden python resist the devil lizard's poison. The devil lizard's poison stimulated the primitive golden python's body. It stimulated a hidden potential in the primitive golden python's body. The primitive golden python suddenly let out a long hiss and opened its eyes. "Ha ha ha ha, my desolate bloodline has been awakened." The primordial golden python laughed heartily. Then he leaped out and went outside. The primitive golden python clan is the nemesis of the underground creatures. Before my desolate bloodline awakened, I couldn't suppress these devil lizards. However, it's different now. With my desolate bloodline awakened, these devil lizards are definitely not my match, the primitive golden python said. Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. He said, "All right, let's work together to kill these devil lizards." The primordial golden python nodded and turned back into a golden python. This time, the primitive golden python opened its bloody mouth and started to devour the devil lizards that pounced on it. "My desolate bloodline will devour the poison in these devil lizards. It will make my bloodline stronger and stronger." The great desolate golden python cried out loudly, appearing exceptionally excited. It seemed that it was as the great desolate golden python had said. Now that the primitive golden python clan had awakened, it could completely ignore the devil lizards. Lin Feng kept lashing out at the devil lizards that pounced on him with his spear, not allowing them to get close to him. Once the devil lizards got close to him and got injured, it would be very troublesome. The primitive golden python continued to devour the devil lizards. A large number of devil lizards were devoured by the primitive golden python. As more and more devil lizards were devoured, the primitive golden python clan's aura grew stronger. Lin Feng was shocked. What a tyrannical, desolate bloodline. As the primitive golden python clan continued to devour the devil lizards, the primitive golden python clan's bloodline was awakening. Screech, an ear-piercing screech, came from the depths of a cave. The devil lizard king ordered the devil lizards to retreat. A large number of devil lizards retreated like the tide. The primitive golden python clan didn't continue to chase after the devil lizards. It had already devoured enough of them. If it continued to devour, it wouldn't be able to endure it. We finally dealt with these guys, Lin Feng said after taking a deep breath. Hua Mengdai and Nangong Yuqi could finally relax. Thank you for saving us, young master. The primitive golden python clan thanked Lin Feng after transforming back into its human form. You're welcome. Lin Feng patted the primitive golden python clan's shoulder and led the way with the primitive golden python clan. Nangong Yuqi controlled the Crystal Palace. She followed behind them. They went deeper into the abyss. The deeper they went, the more violent the storm became. Although they were at the bottom of a lake, because of the storm, no lake water flowed into this place. After walking for about an hour, the storm was too violent. It was difficult to advance any further. The Crystal Palace couldn't be continued either. There's a forbidden area ahead. We can't cross it, the primitive golden python clan said. Return to the Crystal Palace first, and wait there with the others. I'll go ahead and take a look. Lin Feng said. All right. Be careful, young master. If you encounter any danger, retreat immediately, the primitive golden python clan said. Lin Feng replied and continued forward. As for the primitive golden python clan, it returned to the Crystal Palace to wait. What on earth caused such a powerful storm to occur? Is the secret in the depths? Lin Feng walked deeper into the storm abyss. He suddenly had a strong premonition. Chapter 26:62. The storm raged, forming powerful wind blades within the storm. The densely packed wind blades slashed at Lin Feng's body. Clang, 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 clang. It was as if the wind blades were slashing at the toughest magic treasure. Lin Feng's body was abnormally tough. These wind blades could hardly harm his body. As he went deeper, Lin Feng felt a powerful pressure spreading between heaven and earth. At the same time, the storm became even more powerful. The storm contained an extremely strange energy. That energy surged into his body. Lin Feng had the feeling that his strength was quickly draining away. What a strange energy, Lin Feng frowned. He hurriedly activated the great defensive technique and formed a defensive crystal wall to block the wind blades. At the same time, he blocked the strange energy from the storm from entering his body. Although the wind blades are strong, it won't be easy to hurt me. What's truly terrifying is the pressure spreading out from them. Lin Feng could not help but frown slightly. The pressure spreading out from the void was getting stronger and stronger, making it difficult for him to deal with. As he went deeper, the pressure spreading out from the void also increased. What is it that's emitting such pressure? Lin Feng frowned. 15 minutes later, Lin Feng couldn't move even a single step. He could resist the attack of the wind, but he couldn't resist the pressure of the wind. He felt as if he could not breathe. This pressure is truly peerless and terrifying. Lin Feng frowned. He began to activate the epic hegemony to resist the pressure. When the epic hegemony was activated, the pressure Lin Feng felt lessened significantly. This made him feel much better. He continued forward. However, not long after, Lin Feng was attacked. A golden wind blade was born from the storm. The wind blade flew toward Lin Feng, and slashed at Lin Feng. Puff! A tearing sound was heard. The golden wind blade first pierced through Lin Feng's defensive crystal wall. Then, it pierced through Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng's body retreated a few steps, and blood immediately flowed out. A golden wind blade. Such a terrifying wind blade was born from the storm. Lin Feng's face turned ugly. The pressure here was so terrifying, and the golden wind blades were born. The best way was to retreat. If he continued to stay here, it was very likely that he would suffer a calamity. At that time, he might be consigned to eternal damnation and die without a grave. However, Lin Feng did not want to retreat so easily. He felt that he was close to the secret of this place. To be able to form such a powerful storm, it must be a shocking secret. If he could uncover this secret, it would bring him great benefits. Because of this, Lin Feng decided to take the risk. He continued to walk in, and the pressure grew stronger and stronger. Just using epic haki alone was almost unable to withstand the pressure here. Lin Feng had no choice but to circulate his supreme aura. After circulating his supremacy aura, he felt his body lighten up. Lin Feng continued to walk deeper into the storm. At this time, the number of golden wind blades formed in the storm began to increase. The golden wind blades seemed to have a mind of their own as they all slashed toward Lin Feng. Haki! Shatter! Lin Feng circulated his epic haki and supreme aura in an attempt to shatter the golden wind blades. However, the wind blades were extremely strange. They could actually ignore Lin Feng's two types of aura. Aura was not omnipotent. All things in the world, they were mutually reinforcing and restraining each other. The wind blades quickly slashed toward Lin Feng, emitting a suffocating wave of energy and aura. The void was instantly torn apart. The golden wind blades once again slashed toward Lin Feng. This time, numerous runes appeared on Lin Feng's body. These runes protected Lin Feng's body. They were magic immunity runes. When the golden wind blades landed on Lin Feng's body, Lin Feng was stunned. Those golden wind blades were blocked by the magic immunity runes. Although the golden wind blades did not penetrate Lin Feng's body, the golden wind blades slashed onto Lin Feng's body and formed a powerful shockwave. Lin Feng was still blown away by the attack. Crack! Crack! Lin Feng did not know how many of his bones were broken. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His face became as pale as paper. What made Lin Feng depressed was that more and more golden wind blades were condensing around him. They slashed toward him. There were simply too many golden wind blades. Lin Feng's magic immunity runes were about to be destroyed by so many golden wind blades. At that time, it would definitely be difficult to block the attack of the golden wind blades. His expression became serious. If this continued, he would die under the golden wind blades sooner or later. At this time, Lin Feng's mind suddenly flashed. He thought of a powerful ability, great banishing art, one of the 3,000 great Das. Lin Feng cultivated this ability a long time ago, but he rarely used it. This ability was said to be able to communicate with some foreign spaces. Then he could banish the things he wanted to banish into those foreign spaces. Could these wind blades also be banished? Thinking of this, Lin Feng's spirit suddenly shook. He hurriedly operated the great banishing art. Gradually, Lin Feng sensed that many parallel spaces were connected to this world. When the dense golden wind blades slashed over again, Lin Feng communicated with one of the spaces. The banishing power produced by the great banishing art enveloped these golden wind blades. Lin Feng banished all these golden wind blades into those parallel spaces. Success. Lin Feng's face revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Originally, he thought that if he failed, he would have to retreat, because the attack power of the golden wind blades was too strong. It had seriously threatened his life. But Lin Feng did not expect that the great banishing art would really resolve the threat of the golden wind blades. This was the main reason why Lin Feng was keen on collecting all kinds of powerful abilities. This was because the more divine abilities one cultivated, the more one would be able to find a divine ability that could resolve the danger when one encountered danger. Why was the Red World Fairy so powerful? Because she cultivated 3,000 kinds of 3,000 great das. When she encountered any danger, she could find a way to resolve it from these 3,000 kinds of great das. Moreover, cultivating the 3,000 great das could continuously gather the chi of heaven and earth. Once a cultivator was supported by a powerful chi of heaven and earth, they would be hit in the head by an immemorial treasure when they went out. They could casually enter a mountain forest and find an ancient cultivator's cave abode. After resolving the threat of the golden wind blades, Lin Feng continued to walk deeper. When the golden wind blades attacked Lin Feng again, Lin Feng would use the great banishing art to banish the golden wind blades into a parallel space. He went all the way deep. Chapter 26:63. Something appeared in the storm. It was shrouded in a cloud of black mist, and it was hard to see what it was. That thing was emitting a powerful pressure at the place where the storm was the most violent. The storm and the powerful pressure here were all caused by that mysterious item. Lin Feng's heart was pounding. Is that the answer to the riddle? Lin Feng muttered to himself as he walked towards that mysterious thing. At that moment, the pressure that permeated the air was getting stronger and stronger. The storm was also getting more and more violent. The storm formed an endless amount of golden wind blades. Those golden wind blades all shot towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng hurriedly used the great banishing technique to banish those golden wind blades into a parallel space. Now, his great banishing technique had played a key role. If it weren't for the great banishing technique, one of the 3,000 great das, Lin Feng felt that he definitely wouldn't have been able to come to this place. Although he had solved the problem caused by the golden wind blades, Lin Feng still had other problems. The pressure in this place was simply too strong. Although Lin Feng used the epic haki and the supremacy haki to resist the pressure here, it was still very difficult. As he gradually approached the mysterious thing in the cloud of black mist, the pressure Lin Feng had to endure became stronger and stronger. He felt that it was very difficult for him to move forward. Every step he took forward felt as if he was carrying an ancient mountain. It was too tiring. This feeling made Lin Feng feel terrible and exhausted. Lin Feng didn't give up. He continued to approach that mysterious thing with difficulty. When he was 100 meters away from that thing, suddenly cracking sounds could be heard. Lin Feng's 2 types of haki started to crack. This shocked Lin Feng. How powerful was the combination of 2 types of haki? Now, it couldn't resist the pressure of that mysterious thing. This was too terrifying. Unfortunately, I haven't cultivated the white tiger haki. If I had, the effect of combining the 3 types of haki might be better. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He began to use the great haki technique, one of the 3,000 great das. The great haki technique could activate the power of haki and release it. Lin Feng used the great haki art to activate the epic haki art and the supreme haki art. All of a sudden, the power of the 2 types of qi increased significantly. Lin Feng, on the other hand, felt that the pressure on his body had lessened by a lot. His body also felt a lot more relaxed. He continued to walk forward, but Lin Feng's speed was still very slow. Every time he took a step, he would need a long time to recover and prepare before he could take the next step. Finally, Lin Feng arrived 50 meters away from the mysterious object. After arriving at this position, Lin Feng's two hockey armors started to crack again. This caused Lin Feng's expression to darken slightly. It was clearly unrealistic for him to rely on his domineering aura to reach the mysterious object. With my deathless fleshly body, I can definitely reach that level. Lin Feng murmured. He had absolute confidence in himself and believed that he could do it. He didn't give up and continued to walk toward the mysterious object. An even more powerful aura surged over. It was as if he was carrying the sun and moon as he moved forward. That kind of aura was no longer something that hockey armors could contend against. That terrifying aura directly suppressed Lin Feng's body. Crack, crack. Even Lin Feng's body started to crack. It was a very terrifying scene. Lin Feng's body cracked like a piece of porcelain and blood flowed out. His body touched it gently. It seemed to be like those cracked porcelain, instantly becoming fragmented. This situation caused Lin Feng's heart to palpitate and his expression to become unusually ugly. But he still didn't intend to give up. He gritted his teeth and continued to walk toward the mysterious object. Crack, crack. His body was cracking more and more. Not only was his body cracking, but even his bones were cracking. An unprecedented pain swept through his body. It was a fate worse than death. Lin Feng had the feeling that his soul was about to explode. The injuries to the soul were the most terrifying. If the soul really cracked, it would definitely dissipate and be doomed eternally. Lin Feng was very clear about this. Lin Feng didn't dare to hesitate. He quickly activated the powerful divine ability Luya's star chart to protect his soul. Lin Feng's soul turned into an ancient star chart. This was a top-notch divine ability passed down by Taoist Luya. It could be said to be a heaven-defying divine ability. Now that Lin Feng was using it, it displayed its wonders. When Luya's star chart divine ability was activated, Lin Feng's soul avoided a calamity. This divine ability was indeed a peerless divine ability. It could play an important role at critical moments. At the same time, Lin Feng began to activate his immortal divine body. Under the repair of the immortal divine body, his body was quickly recovering. Lin Feng's body was constantly alternating between destruction and recovery. This was Lin Feng's advantage. Other cultivators couldn't get close to that mysterious thing at all. Their bodies couldn't withstand such a powerful pressure. They insisted on getting close. In the end, they would inevitably die. However, Lin Feng was different. Lin Feng's immortal divine body helped him avoid this calamity at this moment. Finally, Lin Feng was only 10 meters away from that mysterious thing. That thing was shrouded in darkness and couldn't be seen clearly. Lin Feng continued to walk toward that mysterious thing. However, at this moment, an even more terrifying pressure surged over. When he felt that pressure, Lin Feng's expression changed drastically. This was because the pressure suddenly increased by more than 10 times. It could definitely destroy him instantly. Before the danger arrived, Lin Feng's body shot up and turned into a yin-yang diagram. Then it started to spin violently in midair. The great yin-yang technique was very extraordinary. Now, Lin Feng used the great yin-yang technique to turn it into a yin-yang diagram. In addition, he had the epic haki and the supremacy haki to protect himself. He pushed his speed to the limit and quickly rushed toward that mysterious thing. Before this, Lin Feng's speed had been very slow. However, now he suddenly burst out with such a fast speed. He wanted to make a final gamble. That terrifying pressure bombarded Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng was shaken to the point of vomiting blood. He was almost beaten back to his original form. Fortunately, he persevered in the end. He rushed in front of the mysterious object. Then he reached out to grab it. Whoosh! Lin Feng didn't manage to grab that mysterious thing because it actually took the initiative to drill into Lin Feng's body. What the hell is this? I haven't even seen what this damn thing looks like. How did it drill into my body? Chapter 2664. At this moment, the pressure had completely disappeared, and the storm had also begun to dissipate. Lin Feng's expression was gloomy because he didn't know what had entered his body. He scanned his body with his divine sense. In an instant, he saw a strange black mist enveloping the sapling of the builder tree. Lin Feng's godly awareness penetrated into the black fog. Then he saw a pitch-black insect inside the black fog. When the pitch-black insect saw Lin Feng, it couldn't help but let out a sharp and ear-piercing cry. Lin Feng could feel the terrifying power contained in the pitch-black insect's body. He felt that this pitch-black insect must have an extremely heaven-defying origin, because everything that happened outside was caused by this pitch-black insect. Of course, the sapling of the builder tree in Lin Feng's Dantian wasn't the real thing. It was also a simulated sapling of the builder tree created by the laws of this world. However, the little bug seemed to like the simulated seedling of the builder tree very much. What kind of existence are you? Why did you enter my body? Lin Feng transmitted his voice to the little insect. He believed that the little insect could understand what he was saying. However, the little insect didn't answer Lin Feng. Lin Feng felt a headache coming on. This little insect was definitely an extremely terrifying existence. What was it trying to do by lying on the sapling of the builder tree? You'd better leave quickly. Otherwise, I'll burn you to death with my heavenly fire. Lin Feng threatened. I need to rest on the builder tree for a while. If it weren't for the builder tree in your body, even 10 of you would be dead by now. A cold voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind. Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed. This little insect was indeed not simple. It had extremely high intelligence. Moreover, Lin Feng didn't doubt the little insect's words. This little insect could create such a powerful storm and pressure. Wouldn't it be easy for it to destroy him? After you're done resting, you'll take the initiative to leave, right? You won't be a threat to me, right? Lin Feng asked. Shut up. Don't disturb my rest. Otherwise, I'll eat you. Do you believe me? Little Worm said fiercely. Lin Feng immediately gave Little Worm the middle finger in his heart. This bastard was obviously trying to steal the limelight. However, Lin Feng really didn't dare to say anything more. Who knew if this little bug would really kill him? At this time, the storm had completely disappeared. However, this huge abyss was a bit special. Although the storm had disappeared, the countless years of the storm had formed air convection. Therefore, the lake water was still unable to flow into the abyss. In the distance, desolate golden python, Hua, Mengdai, Nangong Yuchi, and the others quickly flew over. Young master, have you found the source of the storm? Hua Mengdai asked. Lin Feng nodded and said, it was caused by a very strange bug. Was it caused by the little bug? The group of people revealed extremely shocked expressions. They didn't expect that the culprit behind such a powerful storm was actually a little bug. It was really unbelievable. The world was so big. There were all kinds of strange things. This saying was indeed true. Has that little bug left? Nangong Yuchi asked. In order to avoid worrying Nangong Yuchi, Hua Mengdai, and the others, Lin Feng didn't intend to tell them that the little bug had entered his body. Lin Feng said, yes, that little bug has already left. Let's go deeper and see if there's that secret place you all spoke of. Hua, Mengdai, Nangong Yuchi, and the others nodded and entered together. Soon, they entered the deepest part of the abyss. In the deepest part of the abyss, a huge stone door with 8 trigrams appeared. This stone door was very special. On it were 9 numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The 9 numbers had different meanings. The first represented the Kin trigram, located in the north. The second represented the Kuan trigram, located in the southwest. The third represented the Jun trigram, located in the east. The fourth represented the Sun trigram, located in the southeast. The fifth represented the central palace. The sixth represented the Qian trigram, located in the northwest. The seventh represented the Dui trigram, located in the west. The eighth represented the Zhen trigram, located in the northeast. The ninth represented the Li trigram, located in the south. After seeing this stone door, Lin Feng and the others were very excited. Behind this stone door might be the secret place that Hua Mengdai and the others were looking for. Once the secret place was opened, there might be some amazing treasures inside. Hua Mengdai looked at the stone door and said with a frown, "The 8 trigrams have always been mysterious and ever-changing. If we want to open this stone door, we should have to find the correct way to arrange the 8 trigrams, right?" Hua Mengdai clearly had some understanding of the 8 trigrams. She could already tell that the 8 directions of the stone door had been messed up. They needed to find the correct way to open the stone door. Said Lin Feng, "Opening the 8 trigram stone door is not an easy task. There may be many powerful traps here. If you take a wrong step, you will be doomed eternally." Lin Feng's words caused everyone's expression to change. However, Lin Feng's words were not exaggerated at all. "What do we do now?" Hua Mengdai looked at Lin Feng and asked. Although she had some understanding of the 8 trigrams, it was very shallow. However, it was only a very shallow research, so Hua Mengdai had no confidence in opening the stone door. "You guys step back. I'll take a look at the mysteries of this stone door." Lin Feng said there were many inheritances in the celestial master sect. Among them, there was also the inheritance of the 8 trigrams. For example, Lin Feng cultivated the 8 trigrams diagram. This was the inheritance of the 8 trigrams technique. The 8 trigrams diagram was an attack type inheritance of the 8 trigrams inheritance. There were many inheritances of the 8 trigrams technique. For example, divination, deduction of the past, present, future, and so on. Although Lin Feng's understanding of the 8 trigrams wasn't particularly deep, but without a doubt, compared to Hua Mengdai and the others, he could definitely be considered an expert. Lin Gongzi also knows the 8 trigrams technique. Hua Mengjia's beautiful eyes suddenly lit up. Nangong Yuqi and the others were also very shocked. Lin Feng's cultivation had already moved them greatly. They never thought that Lin Feng wasn't just strong in cultivation. He had also dabbled in other aspects. It was truly admirable. Lin Feng nodded and said, "I've dabbled in it." Hua Mengdai said, "Young master, you must be careful. If you feel that something is wrong, quickly leave the stone door." "Okay," Lin Feng replied. Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuqi, Desolate Golden Python, and the others quickly retreated. Chapter 2665. Lin Feng began to recall the introduction of the 8 trigrams in the inheritance of the celestial master, Taoism. Gossip's introduction was from many aspects. They were 8 trigrams song formula, 8 trigrams number, 8 trigrams position, 8 trigrams division, 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 yin and yang, etc. The hexagon-shaped song formula was Qian 3 links, Kuan 6 breaks, Zhenyang Basin, Zhen Fu Bowl, Lijong Su, Kanzhong Fu, Dui upper lac, Sun lower break. The 8 trigrams algebra is frowny face Xiantian 8 trigrams, Qian 1 Dui 2, Li 3, Shen 4, Sun 5, Kan 6, Gen 7, Kuan 8. The Hotian 8 trigrams, Kan 1, Kuan 2, Zhan 3, Sun 4, Wu is the central palace, Qian 6, Dui 7, Gen 8, Li 9. The positions of the 8 trigrams were frowny face Xiantian 8 trigrams, Qian and Kuan Bei, Li Dong, Kanshi, Dui Dong, Jinbei, Xuanxi, Zhenbei. The Hotian 8 trigrams, Xindong, Duishi, Linen, Kanbei, Kiangsabai, Kuan, Dongbei, Zundongnan. The 8 diagrams are Qian Dui gold, Zhan, Sun, wood, Kuan, Gen earth, Li fire, Kan water. The 8 trigrams are as follows. Qian and Dui gold gave birth to Kan water gave birth to Zhen and Sun, wood. Zhen and Sun wood gave birth to Li fire gave birth to Kuan and Gen earth. Kuan and Gen earth gave birth to Qian and Dui gold. Qian and Dui gold restrained Zhen, Sun, wood. Zhen, Sun wood restrained Kuan, Gen earth. Kuan, Gen earth restrained Kan water restrained Li fire restrained Qian and Dui gold. The prosperity and decline of the 8 trigrams were as follows. Qian and Dui flourish in autumn and decline in winter. Zhen and Sun flourish in spring and decline in summer. Kuan and Gen flourished in the 4 seasons and declined in autumn. Li flourished in summer and declined in the 4 seasons. Corn thrives in winter and declines in spring. The 4 seasons refer to the last month of each season. Corresponding 5 elements gold. Qian, Dui. Qian is heaven, Dui. Qian is Lake Mu Zhen, and Sun Zhen are thunder, and Sun Zhen are wind. Earth, Kuan, Gen, Kuan. Earth, Gen, mountain water. Kankan is water, moon. Fire, Lili is fire. Sun, the 5 elements coexist. Wood breeds fire, fire breeds earth. Earth breeds gold, gold breeds water. Water breeds wood. Mutual restraint of the 5 elements. Metal restrains wood, wood restrains earth, earth restrains water, water restrains fire, fire restrains metal. The 8 trigrams were divided into Qian Dui, Li Zhen Sun Kan Gen Kuan 8 trigrams Taiyang. Xiaoyin, Xiaoyang, Taiyin 4 symbols of course. These were the contents of the Xiantian 8 trigrams. In fact, there were also the Hotian 8 trigrams and the Hotian 64 trigrams, which were even more complicated and profound. Lin Feng followed the divination technique in the Xiantian 8 trigrams over and over again. After spending a total of 3 days, Lin Feng finally succeeded. Then, Lin Feng took a deep breath and turned the 8 trigrams diagram on the stone door. At this moment, Lin Feng was also extremely nervous, although he had deduced many times before coming to this final conclusion. However, Lin Feng didn't know if his deduction was correct or not. If he was wrong, he might encounter something extremely terrifying. It was not impossible for him to lose his life here. That was why Lin Feng was so nervous at this moment. Not only was Lin Feng nervous, but Hua Mengdai Nangong Yuqi and the others were also very nervous. Crack, crack, as Lin Feng turned the 8 trigrams. The sound of friction rang out one after another. Finally, Lin Feng placed all the diagrams in the positions he had guessed. Crack, crack. Then the 8 trigrams stone door began to open. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng's face revealed an extremely surprised expression. It seemed that his deduction was completely correct. The 8 trigrams stone door soon opened, and then the second stone door was revealed. An extremely special mark appeared on the second stone door. It looked like a scroll. It should be a sheepskin scroll. Give me the sheepskin scroll. Lin Feng said. Hua Mengdai hurriedly handed the sheepskin scroll to Lin Feng. Lin Feng unfolded the sheepskin scroll and then perfectly stuck it to the mark on the second stone door. The sheepskin scroll emitted waves of violent fluctuations. Soon, the sheepskin scroll merged with the stone door and became a part of the second stone door. Crack, crack! The second stone door began to open on its own. The second stone door opened to both sides. A huge cave appeared in their line of sight. Lin Feng and the others stood outside the cave and looked inside. Inside the cave, it was pitch black and nothing could be seen. No one knew where it led to. Do you know who left behind this secret plane? Lin Feng looked at Hua Mengdai and asked. Hua Mengdai shook her head and said, I don't know. The only thing I know is that the sheepskin scroll will bring us to a secret plane. I don't know anything else. Lin Feng said, Then let's be careful. I don't know if there is any danger in this cave. He was the first to walk into the cave, and the others followed closely behind Lin Feng. As they entered the cave, Lin Feng suddenly felt a cold aura surging from the depths. He looked at the depths with a dignified expression. Lin Feng felt that the depths were definitely not simple. Perhaps some terrifying existence was born there. Not long after, they saw a huge mountain belly, and then the group entered the mountain belly. In the middle of the mountain belly, there was a distorted black ball of light. Jia, 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 jia. A sinister laughter came from the black ball of light, and then the black ball of light turned into a black-robed cultivator. Een God, it's an Een God. Everyone, be careful. Hua Mengjia's face suddenly changed, and then she reminded them. This was not the first time Lin Feng saw a Een God. This kind of terrifying creature lived in the darkness and was formed from the evil thoughts of a peerless expert after they died. It represented the most evil power in the world. However, Lin Feng had never seen such a powerful Een God. The space around this Een God was distorted, and the cultivation of this Een God was so strong that it made Lin Feng's hair stand on end. Thank you for opening the cave's stone door. The Een God said in a sinister voice. Lin Feng and the others' expressions changed. This Een God actually took the initiative to talk to them. One had to know that Een Gods were formed from evil thoughts and generally did not have a consciousness, only a killing intent. Therefore, Een Gods would constantly attack and kill the cultivators around them. However, this Een God in front of them was obviously not so simple. It already had a complete consciousness, just like a cultivator. Once a terrifying and evil creature like a Een God had a complete consciousness, it would be an extremely terrifying thing. Lin Feng said with a fake smile, There's no need to thank us. Helping others is the source of happiness. Lin Feng prayed that this Een God would not attack them, because if a battle broke out, many of them would die in the hands of this Een God. The Een God said in a sinister voice, You are my benefactors. How can I not thank you? Do you see the stone room in the depths of the mountain? It contains the inheritance of a Tao Lord. Do you want to obtain it? Chapter 26, 66. Is that person the Tao Master? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. It was said that great emperor-level experts would choose to dissipate after they died. That was because they didn't want to die. Their souls would be enslaved by the netherworld. However, experts who had surpassed the great emperor realm would die in the netherworld. No netherworld beings would dare to approach them. Once they died, their souls would dissipate from the world. All that was left was a complete body, just like the mysterious existence before them. Nangong Yuchi continued. That Een God is most likely the manifestation of this Tao Lord's evil thoughts. Even an existence like this Tao Lord is unable to clear his mind of all distracting thoughts. I'm afraid there's no one else in this world who can do that. Lin Feng said, The hardest thing to understand is the human heart. The human heart will change with time or with the occurrence of certain events. Everyone has two selves in their hearts. One is righteous and the other is evil. However, The righteous heart suppresses the evil heart. That's human nature. However, some people's inner world is filled with evil, suppressing their righteous heart. That's why it's very easy for a bad person to become a good person, or for a good person to become a bad person. Powerful experts like the Taoist master also have their own selfish desires and things that they covet. Only when a person has no desires can they achieve a pure heart. But in this world, who can have no desires? Even the eminent monks of Buddhism can't do that because they want to become Buddhas. That's the desire in their hearts. Everyone nodded when they heard Lin Feng's words. It was indeed as Lin Feng had said. In the world, no one could truly have no desires. No one could truly let go of everything. In truth, desire was the greatest motivation for a person to move forward. However, from another perspective, desire was also the source of evil. Therefore, as long as a person had desires, then evil would be born in his inner world. The desolate golden python said, "I wonder if we can get close to this corpse." Normally, these experts' corpses couldn't be approached because even after they died, they still exuded a terrifying aura. If a cultivator approached them rashly, they would definitely suffer a calamity. "We'll know once we try." Nangong Yuchi carefully walked towards the mysterious Tao master's corpse. However, as soon as he arrived 20 meters away from the Daylord's corpse, a terrifying aura spread out. It was as if it could topple mountains and overturn seas, as it rushed toward Nangong Yuchi. Nangong Yuchi was shocked, and she wanted to dodge the powerful attack. However, he was horrified to find that it was already too late. At that moment, Nangong Yuchi felt like a small boat in the middle of the ocean. They could be knocked over by the waves at any time and sink to the bottom of the sea. Nangong Yuchi even felt that she was doomed. At this time, Nangong Yuchi suddenly felt a pair of strong hands wrap around her small waist. Then a strong masculine aura came over. That kind of masculine aura. Nangong Yuchi felt dizzy. "It's him." Nangong Yuchi saw Lin Feng's handsome face. Originally, Nangong Yuchi liked to ridicule Lin Feng when she had nothing to do. Of course, she didn't have any ill intentions. She just liked to attack Lin Feng. However, after knowing Lin Feng's true strength, Nangong Yuchi felt a strange feeling whenever she faced Lin Feng. That strange feeling made Nangong Yuchi's heart palpitate. Which woman didn't yearn for love? Even the female cultivators of the fairy great world. They also yearned for love. Lin Feng was young, handsome, powerful, and had a good personality. Once these women came into contact with Lin Feng, they would easily fall for him. Although Nangong Yuchi had a fiery temper, she was still a woman. She also felt like she had fallen for him. Of course, Lin Feng didn't know what Nangong Yuchi was thinking about him. Lin Feng hadn't thought about that from the beginning to the end. Lin Feng had a good impression of Nangong Yuchi, who had a fiery temper, a straightforward personality, and a fiery temper. Therefore, he naturally couldn't just watch Nangong Yuchi suffer. After Lin Feng hugged Nangong Yuchi, he hurriedly retreated. He dodged the powerful pressure emitted by the mysterious Tao master's corpse. "Are you hurt?" Lin Feng let go of Nangong Yuchi and asked. After leaving Lin Feng's embrace, Nangong Yuchi actually felt a sense of loss. There was a voice in her heart telling her that she really wanted Lin Feng to hug her for a while longer. That was the truest thought in Nangong Yuchi's heart. This thought made Nangong Yuchi panic a little. "I'm fine. Thank you, Lin Gongzi," Nangong Yuchi said. Seeing Nangong Yuchi, who had a fiery temper, become so gentle, Lin Feng was still a little unaccustomed to it. "It's good that you're fine," Lin Feng said. Then he looked at the Tao master's corpse. Hua Mengdai said, "We can't get close to the Tao master's corpse. Let's kneel and pay our respects. If there's someone among us who's fated with the Tao Master, we might be able to get close to the corpse. If not, we can't force it. We need to leave this place." Lin Feng said. Everyone nodded. Then, everyone knelt in front of the Tao Master's corpse and kowtowed 3 times and 9 times. Shua. Suddenly, a Tao light was emitted from the Tao Master's body. The Tao light entered Lin Feng's body. Then, it fused with Lin Feng's body. Lin Gongzi has obtained the Tao Master's recognition. Hua Mengdai and the others were pleasantly surprised. Lin Feng smiled. "I didn't expect to be so lucky." Then, he bowed to the Tao Master again. Then, Lin Feng stood up and went to the Tao Master's side. He saw a jade pendant hanging on the Tao Master's waist. Lin Feng took the jade pendant off. He saw 4 words written on the jade pendant. These 4 words were Yuan Qing Tao Master. Yuan Qing Tao Master? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He passed the jade pendant to Hua Mengdai and the others. After passing it around, Hua Mengdai said, "There are 3 Tao Masters in Taoism. Tai Ching Heavenly Lord Yuanshi, Prime Qing Heavenly Lord Lingbao, and Yu Qing Heavenly Lord Taishang Laojun. In the Qing generation, I've never heard of this Yuan Qing Tao Master." The Qing generation was the generation of the first generation disciples of Taoist Hongjun, Heavenly Lord Lingbao, and Taishang Laojun. As everyone knew, Taoist Hongjun had 3 disciples. They were Heavenly Lord Yuanshi, also known as Pangu, Heavenly Lord Lingbao, and Taishang Laojun. There was no 4th disciple. Chapter 26:67. Indeed, as Hua Mengdai had said, the identity of Taoist Yuan Qing was a mystery. Could it be that Taoist Hongjun had a 4th disciple? It was just that this 4th disciple was relatively low-key. So even in the scriptures, there was no record of Taoist Yuan Qing. But thinking about it, it didn't seem right. No matter how low-key he was still Taoist Hongjun's disciple. He was also in existence on the same level as the Taoist 3 Pure Ones. How could there be no record of him? So it was really a mystery. Lin Feng couldn't figure out the identity of this person, so he simply didn't try to guess the identity of this person. Lin Feng didn't like to make a fuss over nothing. The jade pendant was passed around and returned to Lin Feng's hand. This jade pendant was nothing special. It was just an ordinary jade pendant. Lin Feng looked at Taoist Yuan Qing. "I didn't mean to offend you. If I have disturbed you in any way, please forgive me." Lin Feng clasped his fists. Then he searched Taoist Yuan Qing's body. He originally wanted to find something like a storage ring, but he couldn't find it. In the end, he only found a scroll. He opened the scroll and found a small word written on it. 1 Qi into 3 Pure Ones. All the laws are destroyed. The heavenly Tao is clear. Reincarnation is eternal. Lin Feng looked at this small word in confusion. He didn't know what the meaning of this small word was. "I found this thing." Lin Feng handed the scroll to Hua Mengdai. Hua Mengdai and the others looked at the small word on the scroll and memorized it in their hearts. Then they returned the scroll to Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, "Some powerful cultivators won't pass their inheritance to others casually. Instead, they need to let the person who obtains the opportunity to comprehend it. If you have the ability to comprehend it, you can get this inheritance. If you don't have the ability to comprehend it, you are destined to have no fate with this inheritance." At this time, Lin Feng thought of a chant that he had obtained from the mysterious demon master in the underworld. Immeasurable immortals and demons are not allowed. This passage was extremely profound and difficult to understand. After such a long time, Lin Feng was still unable to comprehend the meaning of this chant. The Tao of a fiend master was not so easy to comprehend. The little poem that Yuan Qing Taoist master had passed down was very similar to the 8-word incantation that the mysterious devil lord had passed down. "We can't stay here for long." "Let's go," Lin Feng said. The others nodded. Taoist master Yuan Qing's inheritance had been obtained. As for whether or not one could comprehend it, that was a personal matter. It would depend on one's luck in the future. There was no need for Lin Feng and the others to continue staying here. The group of them bowed towards Taoist Master Yuan Qing's corpse. Then he retreated. Soon they were back outside. The primordial golden python turned into a huge python and rolled in the lake. Lin Feng, Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuqi, and the others left the lake. After entering the forest, Lin Feng said, "Fairies, all good things must come to an end. Let's bid farewell here. This parting is also the beginning of our next reunion. This space is very dangerous. I hope all of you will be more careful. Lin Gongzi should also be more careful." Hua Mengdai and the others said, feeling reluctant to part. "This is the ancient star map that leads to our fairy great world. If Lin Gongzi travels through the stars in the future and passes by the star region where our fairy great world is located, please make a trip to our fairy great world. At that time, we will definitely treat Lin Gongzi well." Hua Mengdai handed a jade tube to Lin Feng. The jade tube recorded the star coordinates of the fairy great world and the method to get there. "Good. If I pass by the fairy great world, I will definitely pay a visit." Lin Feng put away the jade tube and said with a smile. He did not stay. Soon he left. The reason why Lin Feng chose to part with Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuqi, and the others was because he knew that he would encounter some big battles in the future. For example, the people of the Zhao family in the Undying Realm, the 12 Dark Knights, and the others might come to find trouble with him. Lin Feng could come and go freely by himself. Even if he was no match for them, he could also escape smoothly. If he stayed with Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuqi, and the others, it would only harm them. Seeing Lin Feng leave, Hua Mengdai, Nangong Yuqi, and the others felt a sense of loss. They sorted out their feelings and quickly left. After finding a cave, Lin Feng carefully comprehended the words on the scroll. 1 Qi into 3 pure ones. All things are destroyed. The heavenly Tao is clear. Reincarnation is eternal. Lin Feng kept reciting the words. 1 Qi into 3 pure ones. 1 Qi into 3 pure ones. 1 Qi into 3 pure ones. Lin Feng found that the first line of the words seemed to be a bit special. Every time he recited these 5 words, he would say them out loud. A strange feeling would surge in his heart. However, that feeling was very faint. When Lin Feng wanted to carefully savor that special feeling, he found that special feeling had disappeared. Could the secret be hidden in these words? Lin Feng looked at the first line of the scroll and could not help but ponder. The immortal path to heaven, connecting to the 9 heavens. The immortal path appears, the heavenly realm appears, the soul enters the 9 heavens, observe the 33 heavens. At this time, the sound of the great Tao resounded throughout the world. Lin Feng's spirit suddenly shook. He quickly rushed out of the cave, where he was in seclusion, and looked into the distance. He vaguely saw that in the northwest direction, a mysterious and ancient immortal path had appeared. That immortal path was shrouded in immortal fog, full of a mysterious feeling. After seeing that immortal path, Lin Feng was very shocked. That immortal path. It should be the rumored immortal path to heaven. Whoosh, Lin Feng soared into the sky and quickly flew toward the immortal path to heaven. The biggest secret, the most amazing opportunity. They were all on the immortal path to heaven. Therefore, the cultivators who entered this mysterious space to cultivate, they all hoped to enter the immortal path to heaven. Lin Feng arrived at that area. The white fog was dreamy, and the sound of the Tao resounded throughout the world. Restrictions shrouded the world, blocking the path of the cultivators. A large number of cultivators gathered here, all wanting to enter the immortal path to heaven. Although the immortal path to heaven has appeared, it's not easy to find it. A purple-clothed cultivator said aloud. It's clearly inside. A cultivator said. Chapter 2668. In that case, the immortal path we see is not the immortal path to heaven at all. Even if the restriction here disappears, we are destined to be unable to find the immortal path to heaven? A cultivator asked. Many people looked at the purple-robed cultivator. Everyone came for the immortal path to heaven. If they saw it, they were destined to be unable to enter it. Naturally, they were extremely disappointed. The purple-robed cultivator said, "Of course not. There are still some differences between the immortal path to heaven and the mirage." Everyone looked at the purple-robed cultivator in confusion. The purple-robed cultivator said, "It is not impossible to find the immortal path to heaven. For most people, even more than 90%, it is destined to be like a mirage, like a dream. However, there will be a small number of people who are luckier. They will be able to find a way to enter the immortal path to heaven and then enter it. In that case, there is hope for us too." A cultivator heaved a sigh of relief. More and more cultivators gathered from all directions, wanting to enter the immortal path to heaven. Of course, some cultivators who were further away did not hear the Tao sound, nor did they see the immortal path to heaven that appeared in the void. Those cultivators were destined to not be able to enter the immortal path to heaven. The immortal path to heaven emitted waves of violent fluctuations. The illusory ancient path seemed to be becoming more and more real. Rumor has it that the end of the immortal path to heaven is the legendary, ethereal heavenly realm, a cultivator said. When he said the two words heavenly realm, his voice suddenly became much louder. The heavenly realm was the highest realm in this universe, the secret of immortality, the way to become an immortal, the supreme inheritance, countless opportunities, countless beauties, countless wealth. They were all in the heavenly realm. That was the cradle of experts. No one did not want to enter the ethereal heavenly realm, but there was nothing they could do. The heavenly realm was too mysterious for the cultivators of other worlds. Some forces of the great worlds might have grasped the ancient star map to enter the undying realm, but no one knew how to enter the heavenly realm. No one knew where the heavenly realm was. If one soul can enter the heavenly realm, if one can quickly seize the body of some cultivators in the heavenly realm, one can enter the heavenly realm. A cultivator said. It wasn't as if no one had tried this method before. There were many cultivators who wanted to enter the heaven realm, but they had no way to do so, so they would use this method. In fact, this method was extremely dangerous. First, the cultivator's soul entered the heavenly realm. The connection between his soul and his physical body would be severed. Once the connection with the physical body was severed, the soul might very quickly vanish into thin air. Of course, there was also the possibility that they would turn into ghosts. If that happened, it would be worse than death. Therefore, after entering the heaven realm, he had to quickly find a target to possess. However, the time was too short, and it was too difficult to find a target to possess. And finding a suitable target that he was satisfied with would be even more difficult. Additionally, even if he could find other cultivators, whether or not he could possess them was an extremely important matter. If he tried to possess them, he might end up being killed off by them. Therefore, in the long years, some of the soul bodies that took the risk to enter the heaven realm often ended up with extremely miserable fates. Of course, there were also some who were reborn in the heaven realm. However, such existences were simply too rare. They could be described as rare as phoenix feathers and Chilean horns. Fellow Taoist, there are many people who have the same idea as you. However, the end result is often death. If you really have such a plan, you have to consider it carefully. A cultivator said. A series of immortal voices came from afar. A group of top experts had arrived. It's the people from the undying realm, someone said, recognizing the identity of this group of people. There were about 100 of them, and each of them was very powerful. Lin Feng even saw the group of undying realm cultivators that he had seen before. They were also among them. The undying realm was ranked first in the 3,000 great worlds. It was rumored that there were immortals overseeing this great world. Naturally, it was a world that received a lot of attention. After the experts from the undying realm arrived, many people's gazes turned to the group of cultivators from the undying realm. I heard that Zhao Ming from the Zhao family of the undying realm was killed by a cultivator. Now, the Zhao family has sent many experts to hunt down that kid. A cultivator said, "Yes, I've heard about this as well. It's been spreading like wildfire. It's said that Zhao Shun, who was sent by the Zhao family to kill that kid, was also killed by that kid." Another cultivator said, "I really didn't expect that someone would dare to attack the cultivators from the undying realm. Could it be someone from the 3 paramount realms?" Someone voiced out the doubt in his heart. It's not someone from the 3 paramount realms. The other party's origin is very mysterious. He didn't reveal where he came from. He's probably a cultivator from a great world. Another person said, "I also heard another thing. It's said that the Dark Worlds and Yeshang was killed by someone, and Yeshang's elder brother was one of the Dark World's 12 Dark Knights. Now, the 12 Dark Knights are scattered everywhere, looking for that kid's whereabouts." At this time, a cultivator mentioned another matter. There's such a thing? No wonder the 12 Dark Knights have been appearing in various areas recently. Who's the person who killed in Yeshang? Someone asked. The cultivator said, "I'm not sure, but it's said that the cultivator who killed in Yeshang seems to be related to someone from the fairy great world. Has that person been found?" Someone asked. "For now, he hasn't been found. He's probably hiding somewhere and doesn't dare to come out." The cultivator continued. Roar. A deep roar came from afar. A dark knight riding a draconic rhinoceros beast charged over. "It's in Yeshang." Some cultivators cried out in alarm, recognizing the newcomer. The 12 Dark Knights had obtained the legacy of the Devil Lord of Darkness. Thus, each of them was very heaven-defying. The outside world had always spread rumors that the 12 Dark Knights were strong enough to fight against the terrifying existences of the celestial plane. The draconic rhinoceros beast stopped in midair, and Yeshang's expression was extremely gloomy. He had been searching for Lin Feng for a long time, but he couldn't find any clues. It was as if Lin Feng had disappeared from the face of the earth, causing Yeshang to feel very depressed. Now that the immortal path to heaven had appeared, and Yeshang had no choice but to come here temporarily. Entering the immortal path to heaven was the most important thing. Not long after, and Yeshang arrived. A woman walked over from afar, shrouded in immortal light. She was as pure and holy as a fairy from the 9 heavens. It's a fairy from the celestial plane. Chapter 26:69. This heaven realm fairy was the only heaven realm cultivator to walk out of the immortal path to heaven. Previously, she had chased after the stone sword, but in the end, she was unable to obtain it. By coincidence, the stone sword was obtained by Lin Feng. The arrival of the heaven realm fairy stunned too many people. This woman was simply too beautiful. That beautiful figure and perfect immortal face could be said to be peerless, of course, The most eye-catching thing was her identity. She came from the heaven realm. It was a fleeting world. This world had too many mysteries and too many extraordinary things. It was a world that countless cultivators yearned for. Just like the heaven realm fairy, she had too many secrets. She was full of mystery. It made people involuntarily want to get close to her. Then they would explore her secrets. The heaven realm fairy seemed to not feel the countless gazes around her. She stood in the void and looked towards the immortal path to heaven in the distance. No one knew what she was thinking. This woman was hazy and didn't seem to be from this world. This woman is very scary. Lin Feng stood in the distance and observed the heaven realm fairy. Previously, when the heaven realm fairy snatched the stone sword, she had already displayed part of her strength. The heaven realm fairy's cultivation was definitely tyrannical. Among all the people present, it was probably difficult to find someone who dared to say that they could defeat the heaven realm fairy, including the Dark Knight and Yetian. Boom! Waves of violent fluctuations came from afar. A yin-yang Dao diagram flew across the sky and then blasted towards a mountain peak. What a huge yin-yang Dao diagram! Many people couldn't help but exclaim when they saw the yin-yang Dao diagram. The yin-yang Dao diagram covered an area of more than 10 acres. The area was huge. It emitted a wave of energy that could destroy the world. It was abnormally powerful and terrifying. Whoosh! Many cultivators quickly soared into the sky from the mountain peak, dodging the attack of the yin-yang Dao diagram. The huge yin-yang Dao diagram blasted onto the mountain peak. The mountain peak instantly collapsed. After the yin-yang Dao diagram shattered the mountain peak, it turned into the appearance of a cultivator. It was a young master wearing a yin-yang robe. His eyes were very strange. The left eye was completely white. The right eye was completely black in color. Normal people's eyes were white and black. Su Xiansha of the yin-yang world. Some of the cultivators there were shocked as they recognized the cultivator. He was a peerless expert from the world of yin-yang. His strength was simply unfathomable. It was rumored that Su Xiansha had a yin-yang saint body. This was an extremely powerful physique, and also an extremely rare physique. It was precisely because of this physique. That was why his eyes were so special. Who is he attacking? Someone muttered to himself. Su Xiansha was clearly attacking a cultivator. Everyone was very puzzled. They didn't know who Su Xiansha had a grudge with. Ordinary people wouldn't dare to provoke a powerful existence like Su Xiansha. Brat, have you thought about how you want to die? Su Xiansha's eyes were cold as he locked onto Lin Feng. His voice was filled with endless killing intent. It's him. Who is he? Many people looked at Lin Feng. They were very puzzled. They didn't know who Lin Feng was, nor did they know why Lin Feng had a grudge with Su Xiansha. It's him. I remember now. I've seen this brat some time ago. At that time, a group of people from the world of yin-yang saw that he was alone and wanted to kill him to obtain the magic he cultivated. Who would have thought that this brat's strength was so extraordinary that he actually killed a group of people from the world of yin-yang? Su Xiansha is probably taking revenge for the dead cultivators from the world of yin-yang. A cultivator said, "This brat is really unlucky. Su Xiansha's cultivation is very strong, and he's ruthless. Now that Su Xiansha has found him, I'm afraid he won't be able to escape today. Yeah, but I wonder how Su Xiansha will kill him. Will he kill him directly, or will he torture him before killing him?" Many people discussed. They were all guessing how Lin Feng would be killed by Su Xiansha. These people weren't optimistic about Lin Feng's chances because Lin Feng's life aura was too young. Moreover, Lin Feng seemed to be only at the heavenly god stage. Therefore, the surrounding cultivators naturally didn't think that Lin Feng could defeat Su Xiansha. Brat, I've finally found you. At this moment, a cold voice came from the group of cultivators from the Undying Realm. A cultivator stepped out and looked at Lin Feng with eyes that flashed with killing intent. Zhao Qing, a top expert from the Zhao clan of the Undying Realm. He entered this space to train 1,000 years ago. This time, he entered again to find the cultivator who killed Zhao Ming. Could that brat be the one who killed Zhao Ming? One of the cultivators cried out in alarm. Not just Zhao Ming, even Zhao Shun, who went to kill him, was killed by him. This brat's cultivation is definitely not as simple as we thought. Someone else said, Brat, I've been looking for you for a long time. Now that I've finally found you, don't worry, I won't let you die a quick death. I'll let you taste endless pain before you die. Zhao Qing walked toward Lin Feng step by step, looking at Lin Feng with eyes that flashed with cold killing intent. Roar! The roar shook the heavens and the earth. The draconic rhinoceros beasts. Roar shook heaven and earth. The huge creature stepped on the void and walked toward Lin Feng. Dark Knight and Yetian emitted a cold killing intent. He was also targeting Lin Feng and wanted to kill Lin Feng. Dark Knight and Yetian is also targeting that brat. Could it be that he was the one who killed in Yeshang? Another cultivator said, Heavens, this brat is really daring. He actually offended so many people from so many great factions. Now that he's surrounded by 3 great experts, I'm afraid he's going to die. Yeah, even if this brat's cultivation is extraordinary, there's no way he can escape from these 3 great experts. Many people started discussing. They looked at Lin Feng as if he was a dead man. What a gathering of monsters. Very well, all of you come at me together. I'll deal with all of you together. This will save me a lot of trouble. Lin Feng looked at the 3 great experts with an indifferent expression. His words caused a huge uproar. Lin Feng's words were too arrogant. He didn't care about the 3 great experts at all. Does this brat know what he's saying? Angering the 3 great experts like that is simply courting death. Chapter 2670. Everyone turned to look at Lin Feng. Everyone looked at him curiously, wondering why Lin Feng was still so arrogant in front of 3 experts. Could it be that he thought he was going to die? So he decided to go crazy? Thinking about it, that was indeed a possibility. Reckless fool, I really want to see how you're going to beg me to spare your dog life. Su Xiansha looked at Lin Feng coldly. He seemed to want to make a move on Lin Feng. Leave this kid to me, Zhao Qing said indifferently. He also wanted to make a move on Lin Feng. Are you guys trying to snatch this prey from me? And Yetian said with an indifferent expression. Surprisingly, the 3 of them were arguing. They all wanted to kill Lin Feng. They wanted to kill Lin Feng, not just for the sake of killing Lin Feng, but for the sake of killing Lin Feng. They were actually spying on some of Lin Feng's powerful divine abilities. After killing Lin Feng, they would search Lin Feng's soul. They would be able to obtain many divine abilities. Therefore, the 3 of them wanted to kill Lin Feng. No need to argue. Come at me together. I can't be bothered to attack 3 times. Lin Feng still had a very arrogant expression on his face. This guy is too arrogant. Many people clicked their tongues. Lin Feng's arrogance was beyond their expectations. The 3 experts looked gloomy. They had been looked down upon by Lin Feng again and again. The 3 of them were very angry. They looked at Lin Feng with eyes full of killing intent. I can kill you within 10 moves. Su Xiansha looked at Lin Feng indifferently. He was extremely confident in his own strength. How dare an ant-like thing like you jump out here? Zhao Qing sneered, extremely disdainful of Lin Feng. A lowly cultivator like You wouldn't even have the right to talk to me under normal circumstances. And Yetian became even more arrogant as he looked down at Lin Feng. Why are you talking so much nonsense? I'll let the three of you come at me together. I don't have time to waste on you. Lin Feng said indifferently. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Su Xianxia, Zhao Qing, and Yetian felt like vomiting blood. They had said so much, even mocking and ridiculing Lin Feng. It seemed that Lin Feng didn't take it to heart at all. All right, we can fulfill your wish. Cold-killing intent appeared on the faces of the three men. They were very arrogant, so they were not willing to besiege Lin Feng. But now they were completely enraged by Lin Feng. Therefore, he couldn't care less about anything else. They planned to besiege Lin Feng tomorrow. Of course, the three of them decided not to kill Lin Feng directly because that would be letting Lin Feng off too easily. They decided to torture Lin Feng properly. They wanted to make Lin Feng beg for death. This was the only way to vent the anger in their hearts. Boom! A terrifying aura spread out. Su Xianxia condensed a yin-yang diagram. That yin and yang picture blotted out the sky and moved towards Lin Feng. On the other side, Zhao Qing made his move. He condensed a scarlet-golden swanny beast. That ferocious beast was surrounded by flames and threw itself at Lin Feng. And Yetian condensed a black spear. The spear pierced through the void and pierced towards Lin Feng's body. They're attacking. The three of them are attacking together. That kid is probably going to be killed, right? One cultivator after another exclaimed in shock. It didn't matter if it was Su Xianxia, Zhao Qing, or Yetian. They were all top experts, especially Yetian. He had obtained the inheritance of the Dark Fiend Lord. His cultivation was unfathomable. Now, all of them were attacking together. In many people's opinion, Lin Feng was doomed. Facing the attacks of the three experts, Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He kept making hand seals. Then, a long river appeared. The long river flowed from afar. In the long river, a black tortoise carrying a wordless steel swam over. The black tortoise steel. This was a powerful ability that Lin Feng had obtained before. It was extremely terrifying. He didn't know what grade it was, but Lin Feng felt that it was far more powerful than an emperor technique. Every time he used the black tortoise steel, this divine ability was extremely taxing on one's magic power. Now, Lin Feng used it again. 1/3 of his energy was instantly drained. Of course, the black tortoise steel was powerful enough. Bang, bang, bang. Following a series of violent collisions, the black tortoise steel broke through the three experts' abilities. Then, it charged towards the three experts. The three experts' expressions changed. They didn't expect Lin Feng's attack to be so powerful. They quickly used their abilities to block Lin Feng's black tortoise steel. However, the black tortoise steel was so powerful that it sent the three experts flying. Oh my God, it can't be, right? That kid is so powerful, fighting one against three, and even repelling all three experts. Cries of surprise rang out one after another. Everyone had an extremely shocked expression on their faces. Weak, you're too weak, Lin Feng sneered. He locked onto Su Xianxia and quickly rushed over to kill him. Yin-yang diagram. Su Xianxia couldn't help but shout coldly. His body turned into a yin-yang diagram and slashed towards Lin Feng. Su Xianxia's cultivation was indeed powerful. However, Lin Feng felt that this person's strength should be about the same as a Boundary Emperor Realm cultivator, who had reached the 30th to 40th stone steps. Zhao Qing should be around this level of strength as well. As for Yetian, he should be about the same as a Boundary Emperor Realm cultivator, who had reached the 40th to 50th stone steps. Of course, Lin Feng couldn't estimate which level he was at. It was just his guess. Lin Feng's current strength was about the same as a Boundary Emperor realm cultivator, who had reached the 50th to 60th stone steps. Therefore, the three of them were no match for Lin Feng. Of course, the three of them were also peerless geniuses. They were only in the giant god realm, but they had such heaven-defying strength. The three of them were the top geniuses, but they encountered Lin Feng. Lin Feng was an even more monstrous existence. At this moment, Lin Feng used the Great Fate technique. The power of fate coiled around his palm. Then Lin Feng threw a punch at the yin-yang diagram that Su Xianxia had turned into. Bang! Along with the sound of a violent collision, there was a loud sound. Lin Feng's tyrannical attack landed on the yin-yang diagram that Su Xianxia had turned into. The attack directly knocked Su Xianxia back to his human form. Barf! Su Xianxia couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Lin Feng instantly appeared in front of Su Xianxia and slapped his palm towards Su Xuanxia's head. That tyrannical blow directly slammed into Su Xuanxia's head, causing it to explode. Chapter 2671. Su Xianxia was dead. His body dissipated halfway through the fall. As for Lin Feng, he directly devoured Su Xuanxia's soul. Su Xuanxia's death caused a huge commotion. It was common knowledge that Su Xuanxia's cultivation was very strong. However, Su Xianxia was so powerful that he couldn't even resist Lin Feng. He was killed by Lin Feng. It was unbelievable and shocking. Everyone's face was filled with deep shock and emotion. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Who is that kid? How can he be so strong? Is he also from the celestial realm? Maybe he came from the Xianhuang realm. The spectating cultivators were in an uproar. They began to discuss Lin Feng's identity. Despite being besieged by three great experts and in such a dangerous situation, Lin Feng was still able to kill Su Xianxia so casually. The combat strength that Lin Feng had displayed was beyond everyone's imagination. Now it's the two of you. Lin Feng looked coldly at Zhao Qing and Yetian, especially Yetian. Since he had obtained a part of the Dark Devil Lord's legacy, he must have some terrifying means. However, Yetian had hidden them very well. He hadn't revealed those heaven-defying means before. However, Lin Feng believed that Yetian would definitely use those terrifying ultimate moves against him. Kill! Lin Feng's voice was cold. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he charged at Yetian and Zhao Qing. This kid is too savage. We can't hold back. Zhao Qing couldn't help but shout coldly. Fine. Let's kill him with all our strength, and Yetian said indifferently. Next, the two of them began to prepare a new attack. Zhao Qing conjured an ancient illusory world and controlled it to attack Lin Feng. The ancient illusory world was shrouded in mystery. It emitted a supreme aura and fluctuation. Undying Realm's shadow, someone exclaimed, recognizing the illusory world formed by Zhao Qing. It was the legendary illusory world of the Undying Realm, filled with endless mysteries. After the Undying Realm's phantom was summoned, it vaguely established a connection with the Undying Realm. Above the 9 heavens, a long river appeared. That was the power of the Undying World, and all of it poured into the Undying World's shadow. The Undying Realm that Zhao Qing summoned also became more and more real. And Yetian, on the other hand, used the demon Lord's descent divine ability. That skill turned into a dark space, and in that dark space, a gigantic cultivator walked towards Lin Feng. That mighty existence was the Dark Demon Lord, Darkness Devil Master. Born in the darkness, he was the master of darkness. Now he stepped forward, and his aura locked onto Lin Feng. Waves of terrifying aura filled the air. Although the darkness demon lord didn't have a real body and was only formed by the condensation of magical powers, it was still extremely terrifying. Many of the spectating cultivators were far away from the center of the battle, but they still couldn't bear the pressure emitted by the darkness demon lord. Many of the cultivators flopped. They knelt on the ground and kowtowed to the darkness demon lord. This divine ability should be the supreme divine ability passed down by the darkness demon lord. It was an abnormally terrifying divine ability. This time, the divine ability that Zhao Qing and Yetian used was indeed powerful, and Lin Feng felt that it was troublesome. Lin Feng's face couldn't help but reveal a cold expression as he stepped forward in the void. Oh, the mighty Tao of destiny! I am the master of the power of destiny. When destiny descends, I will become the eternity of the world, and nothing will be able to touch me. Lin Feng began to sing. He first used the great art of destiny, using it to resist the attacks of Zhao Qing and Yetian. Rumble! A loud sound shook the sky. The power of destiny seemed to have turned into a vast ocean, descending from the sky. As the second most heaven-defying great Tao among the 3,000 great Taos, the Tao of destiny was naturally terrifying. When the great art of destiny came crashing down, Zhao Qing's undying world was instantly shattered, and Yetian's darkness demon lord was directly suppressed by the great art of destiny. Whoosh! Lin Feng quickly rushed in front of Zhao Qing. He decided to get rid of Zhao Qing first. Although Zhao Qing was powerful, he wasn't as much of a threat as Yetian. As long as he killed Zhao Qing, and Yetian wouldn't be able to survive alone. Then it would be much easier to kill Yetian. Lin Feng had already predicted every step of the way. So now, he had to take every step carefully. Boom! Lin Feng exploded, directly using the powerful demon chaos immortal art to attack Zhao Qing. Zhao Qing's expression changed. He wanted to retreat, but it was too late. So he had no choice but to block Lin Feng's attack. Zhao Qing punched towards Lin Feng. Bam! The two attacks collided fiercely. Lin Feng didn't move at all, but Zhao Qing was sent flying. Lin Feng didn't give Zhao Qing any chance to resist. He quickly rushed in front of Zhao Qing and slashed out a dazzling blade light. Zhao Qing didn't have time to dodge. He only heard a ripping sound. Zhao Qing's body was directly torn into two. Zhao Qing was dead. Lin Feng devoured Zhao Qing's soul, waiting to refine it later. Zhao Qing is dead too. Too strong, really too strong. I'm afraid that Yetian can only die now. Yetian is ranked 10th among the 12 Dark Knights. His cultivation isn't considered the strongest among the 12 Dark Knights. The truly terrifying ones are the top 3. If that kid really kills Yetian, the rest of the Dark Knights won't let this matter rest. Then this is going to be interesting. If the rest of the Dark Knights attack together, even those existences from the celestial world will die at the hands of the Dark Knights. I wonder what that kid is going to do, the surrounding cultivators discussed fervently. At this moment, Lin Feng walked step by step towards Yetian. Without saying much, Lin Feng directly used the dragon elephant arm to attack Yetian. Demon Master's fist. Yetian couldn't help but roar. The surface of his body was surrounded by a demonic light, and there were crackling sounds coming from within his body. And his body, in an instant, it grew rapidly. In an instant, it doubled in size. After his body grew larger, and Yetian's cultivation also increased greatly. Moreover, Yetian wanted to meet Lin Feng head-on. Chapter 2672. Bang! Along with the sound of a violent collision, Lin Feng's fist and Yetian's fist collided violently. The void trembled violently. Waves of terrifying fluctuations swept across the heaven and earth, shaking the void. Deng, deng, deng. Lin Feng and Yetian retreated 3 steps at the same time. And Yetian's body had enlarged. Under the premise that Lin Feng used the Dracophon arm, he was actually evenly matched with Lin Feng. This made Lin Feng extremely shocked. His Dracophon arm could blow up a planet. However, it was blocked by an Yetian. And Yetian did not know what kind of powerful technique he had used. Lin Feng found it hard to believe that his physical body was so strong to such an extent. And Yetian was actually even more shocked in his heart. This method of his could rapidly increase the strength of his physical body. In a short period of time, his physical body could even kill a real dragon. This method had been tried and tested time and time again. However, this time, he did not gain any advantage when facing Lin Feng. This made an Yetian extremely shocked. He did not expect Lin Feng's physical body to be so strong. Lin Feng charged toward an Yetian again. He swung his right arm and smashed it directly toward an Yetian. And Yetian's expression was indifferent. He did not retreat at all. At the same time, he quickly swept toward Lin Feng and threw a punch at Lin Feng. Bang, 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 bang. The 2 sides suddenly collided. They continuously exchanged dozens of punches. Every collision was like 2 ancient mountains crashing into each other, causing the void to tremble violently. The battle between the 2 sides could be said to be extremely intense. After dozens of collisions, Lin Feng began to circulate the 5 devouring martial spirits. When the 5 devouring martial spirits circulated, the power of Lin Feng's Dracophon arm suddenly increased by 5 times. This was the peak of Lin Feng's power. He once again charged towards an Yutian. And Yutian did not know that Lin Feng's strength had increased by 5 times. In an Yutian's opinion, his cultivation level was higher than Lin Feng's, and their physical bodies were now evenly matched. However, Lin Feng's cultivation level was lower, and the first one to give up would definitely be Lin Feng. He waited until Lin Feng showed signs of fatigue. He would be able to kill them in 1 hit, and Yetian's wishful thinking was extremely good. But dreams were often beautiful. Reality was cruel. Bang! The 2 sides collided once again. This time, an Yetian was directly sent flying by Lin Feng's punch. Wow! He spat out a large mouthful of blood in midair. The might of the Dracophon arm had increased by 5 times. It was hard to imagine how tyrannical the Dracophon arm would be at this moment. Although an Yetian's physical body was strong, it could only be compared to Lin Feng when he used the Dracophon arm. It was far from being able to compete with Lin Feng when he used the quintuple strength of Dracophon arm. An Yetian was injured. Lin Feng quickly charged towards an Yetian and then punched at him. That punch directly shattered the void. If it landed on an Yetian's body, he would definitely die without a burial place. Is an Yetian going to be killed as well? Cries of surprise rang out one after another. Many people's faces were filled with deep shock and emotion. Lin Feng's combat strength was too heaven-defying. It deeply shocked everyone. Even the unfathomable fairy of the heavenly realm looked at Lin Feng with her enchanting eyes, revealing a look of surprise. Clearly, fairy of the heavenly realm had not expected Lin Feng to be so tyrannical. It was truly beyond her expectations. Just as Lin Feng's tyrannical punch was about to kill an Yetian, right at that moment, an Yetian's body turned into a ball of demonic light and disappeared in an instant. Lin Feng's punch, on the other hand, landed in midair. In the next moment, Lin Feng felt a terrifying aura coming from behind him. He quickly moved to block it. Clang! A loud sound rang out. Lin Feng was sent flying by an Yetian's punch, who had suddenly appeared behind him. What kind of technique is this? Lin Feng's expression sank slightly. He had clearly locked onto an Yetian. Just now, but An Yetian still managed to escape. An Yetian's technique shocked Lin Feng. "Do you think you can know my divine ability?" An Yetian looked coldly at Lin Feng. He walked towards Lin Feng. Then he threw a punch at Lin Feng. After locking on to An Yetian, once again, Lin Feng threw a punch at him. This time, An Yetian disappeared without a trace, just like before. An Yetian appeared on Lin Feng's left. He condensed a long spear and held it in his hand. Then he pierced it towards Lin Feng's body. Supreme aura! Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He instantly released his supreme aura. No matter how powerful An Yetian was, once Lin Feng released his supreme aura, it would definitely be able to intimidate An Yetian. Moreover, it would be able to restrict his movements. As expected, when Lin Feng released his supreme aura, An Yetian's body was immediately restricted. The long spear he condensed was instantly shattered. Go to hell! Lin Feng's eyes were filled with dense killing intent. He quickly rushed towards An Yetian and threw a punch at him. Once again, An Yetian's body turned into demonic light. He wanted to disappear without a trace. However, this time, An Yetian did not succeed. After his body turned into demonic light, Lin Feng's supreme aura imprisoned the demonic light that wanted to escape. Then, Lin Feng threw a punch at the demonic light. An Yetian was beaten back to his human form by Lin Feng. In the next moment, Lin Feng arrived in front of An Yetian and threw a punch at him. With a bang, An Yetian's body exploded. He died on the spot. Lin Feng also devoured An Yetian's soul. Then he walked into the distance. An Yetian is also dead. 3 great experts, which one of them wasn't a top expert in their respective worlds. Now, they were all killed by a single person. That kid is too strong, isn't he? Everyone's hearts seemed to have been set off by stormy waves. They could not calm down for a long time. Lin Feng sat on a mountain peak to adjust his breathing and recover. No one dared to disturb Lin Feng. Lin Feng's monstrous battle strength had stupefied everybody. 2 hours later, Lin Feng opened his eyes. After a great battle, he felt that his white tiger aura had improved. A battle of life and death could condense killing intent. It had a great effect on the cultivation of the white tiger aura. In the distance, waves of immortal light burst out. The heavenly fairy walked towards Lin Feng. Her body was surrounded by immortal light. She looked otherworldly and holy. The heavenly fairy landed on the mountain peak Lin Feng was on. "You are the one who obtained the stone sword." The heavenly fairy looked at Lin Feng. Her eyes were calm. No one knew what she was thinking. Lin Feng was astonished. He hadn't thought that the celestial fairy would have noticed that he had obtained the stone sword. Chapter 2673. Lin Feng did not know why the heavenly realm fairy had found him and told him about the stone sword, but now that he was in control of the stone sword, no matter how powerful the heavenly realm fairy was, no matter how monstrous the heavenly realm fairy was, Lin Feng believed that with the power of the stone sword, he would not be afraid of the heavenly realm fairy. He was also not afraid of the heavenly realm fairies. Thus, he was not afraid of the heavenly realm fairies. "The stone sword is indeed in my hands." Lin Feng nodded and said. The heavenly realm fairy said, "You admitted it very straightforwardly. There's nothing to hide." Lin Feng said, "You are very confident in yourself." The heavenly realm fairy looked at Lin Feng meaningfully and said, "Many people are extremely confident in themselves." Lin Feng said, "How did you get the stone sword?" The heavenly realm fairy asked. It was obvious that she was still brooding over this matter. This was because the heavenly realm fairy knew the importance of the stone sword. She had always wanted to obtain the stone sword. She chased after it for a long time, but in the end, she did not succeed. Instead, the stone sword was obtained by Lin Feng. The heavenly realm fairy was naturally envious and jealous in her heart. Said Lin Feng, "Maybe it's because he's been blessed by luck." The heavenly realm fairy knew that Lin Feng was unwilling to elaborate. She said, "Perhaps I can use some things to exchange with you. What do you want? You can tell me all you want, even if it's some powerful orthodoxy in the immortal world. I can tell you." The heavenly realm fairy was very interested in the stone sword. This treasure had always been a legendary treasure. She wanted to obtain it, even if she had to pay a huge price. Lin Feng said, "Sorry, I don't have such plans. You can think about it again. Obtaining the orthodoxy and increasing your own strength is the most important thing. Although the stone sword is good, it is still an external object." The heavenly realm fairy still did not give up and began to persuade Lin Feng, wanting to change Lin Feng's mind. Lin Feng naturally did not believe the heavenly realm fairy's words. Magic treasure. It was also a part of a cultivator's strength. "I don't lack powerful orthodoxies," Lin Feng said. The heavenly realm fairy's voice was faint. No one knew what she was thinking at this moment. The heavenly realm fairy said, "Why are you so stubborn? Sometimes you will find that a transaction is beneficial to both sides." Lin Feng said indifferently, "But everyone has the right to refuse a deal. Furthermore, I don't think the deal will benefit me. After losing the stone sword, my battle strength will be greatly weakened." "It seems like you can already control the stone sword." The heavenly realm fairy was very surprised. "That's right," Lin Feng said. He deliberately said it for the heavenly realm fairy to hear, because the heavenly realm fairy's methods were very terrifying. If the heavenly realm fairy made a move, it was not certain who would win in the end. Furthermore, the heavenly realm fairy definitely did not come alone. She should have companions. Her companion should be on the heavenly immortal path. Once he entered the heavenly immortal path, it would be even more troublesome if the heavenly realm fairies summoned their companions to besiege him. Now, Lin Feng told the heavenly realm fairy the news of him controlling the stone sword. "Actually, the deeper meaning is that I already control the stone sword. If I activate the stone sword, my combat strength will greatly increase. If anyone wants to snatch my stone sword, even if they succeed, at that time, they will have to pay an extremely heavy price." The heavenly realm fairy was a smart person. Lin Feng did not believe that she did not understand the meaning behind his words. The heavenly realm fairy smiled and said, "My name is Ning Kair. May I know young master's name?" The heavenly realm fairy's attitude changed very quickly. Now that she took the initiative to introduce herself, who knows what she was planning? "Lin Feng." Ning Kair muttered Lin Feng's name. This was the first time she had heard of this name. Thinking about how Lin Feng's extraordinary cultivation was unknown, Ning Kair was very puzzled. Could it be that this guy had always been very low-key, so he was not famous? However, Ning Kair quickly thought of Lin Feng's actions. He was not a low-key person. "I'll remember your name," Ning Kair said. Then she left. What are they talking about? Many people looked towards the mountain peak, where Lin Feng was. Lin Feng had just killed 3 great experts, so he was the center of attention. Ning Kair was the heavenly realm fairy, so she was the focus of attention of countless cultivators. Therefore, the two of them talked for so long, and the content of their conversation aroused the interest of many people. The news of the 3 great experts being killed quickly spread, causing a huge wave. There were rumors. A group of experts from the Undying Realms Zhao family was rushing over, wanting to kill Lin Feng. The Yinyang 3 heroes of the Yinyang Great World were also rushing over. They also wanted to kill Lin Feng. The 12 Dark Knights were also rushing over. Their target was Lin Feng. Many experts were rushing over. Everyone thought that Lin Feng would escape, but Lin Feng did not leave at all. What is this guy thinking? With so many experts here, if they were to attack together, it would be a dead end for them. Why doesn't he take advantage of the arrival of those experts to leave quickly? Does this guy think he can fight so many experts alone? A cultivator said doubtfully, not understanding what Lin Feng was thinking. Many people were talking about this matter, thinking that Lin Feng should take advantage of the situation to leave quickly. If he waited until those experts arrived at that time, he would not be able to leave even if he wanted to. Lin Feng had no intention of leaving. If those experts arrived, he could have a big battle and hone his cultivation in the midst of life and death. At this moment, Lin Feng was refining the souls of the three great experts. There was a restriction in the depths of their souls, which had erased the memories of their souls. Therefore, Lin Feng was now refining the souls of the three great experts as pure soul origin to improve his soul level. After refining the soul origin of the three great experts, Lin Feng's soul power improved again. At this time, the restriction that enveloped the immortal path to heaven began to gradually dissipate, and soon it was completely gone. The cultivators waiting outside immediately became excited and rushed out one after another to find the immortal path to heaven. Lin Feng also entered the area shrouded in white fog to find the immortal path to heaven. At the end of the earth, the immortal path to heaven was suspended in midair, surrounded by endless immortal light. It was very mysterious. However, Lin Feng walked for a long time, but he still could not reach the immortal path to heaven. It's really similar to the mirage. Lin Feng could not help but frown. The immortal path to heaven was really too strange. He walked for so long, but he found that the immortal path to heaven was still very far away from him. This situation was the same as the mirage. Lin Feng's expression could not help but sink. Chapter 2674. Lin Feng saw many cultivators around him, just like him. Those cultivators couldn't get close to the path. Could it be that we're really not fated with the path? A cultivator said discontentedly. He was unusually depressed. The other cultivators couldn't help but sigh. Although they could see the path, they couldn't find it. It was like a flower in the mirror or the moon in the water. It was unattainable. Dong. At this time, the sound of a Tao bell rang between heaven and earth. Look deeper. One of the cultivators pointed towards the depths and shouted. Everyone looked in that direction. The immortal path to heaven shone with boundless immortal light. The sound of the Tao bell came from the path. A cultivator was enveloped by the immortal light and instantly disappeared into the path. Someone has entered the heavenly path. Many people were incomparably shocked. The mirage-like immortal path to heaven had actually been found by someone. My luck is so good. Lin Feng couldn't help but cry out in envy. He had searched for so long without any clues, but the other party had already entered the path. Everyone had their own fortuitous encounter. The heavens couldn't always favor the same person. That was why geniuses came out in large numbers. Countless cultivators had great, fortuitous encounters. Boom, not long after, a violent fluctuation came from the depths again. Then, the sound of the Tao bell rang again. Someone else entered the heavenly immortal path. Is this the good karma of our ancestors? That's why we're so lucky to find the path. Many people cried out, their tone sour. They also wanted to enter the path, but they couldn't find any clues. Lin Feng continued flying. He was still looking for the celestial path to the sky. The immortal path to heaven was too mysterious. It was extremely difficult to find it. Too many cultivators didn't have any clues. As he continued to go deeper, many powerful restrictions appeared in the world of white fog. There were also many terrifying space-time rifts. Many cultivators met with calamities and died here. When Lin Feng passed by a canyon, he felt a sinister and terrifying aura enveloping his body. Lin Feng was astonished. What kind of terrifying creature had appeared and was staring at him? Swoosh! In the next moment, a cold light split the void and slashed at Lin Feng. It was a huge claw, but that claw was too strange. It was like an incomparably sharp longsword. A fierce beast split the void and attacked Lin Feng. The fierce beast's body was very similar to a velociraptor's. It had a pair of huge wings, and its left claw was very sharp. It flickered with a cold light. The right claw was very special. It was shaped like a sword. He didn't know what kind of creature it was. It was very good. Before it showed itself, Lin Feng didn't know where it was hiding. This was enough to explain a lot. Lin Feng's reaction was extremely fast. When the terrifying attack was about to reach him, a defensive crystal wall appeared in front of him. The terrifying attack slammed into the defensive crystal wall. Poochie, the defensive crystal wall, was immediately torn apart. However, it slowed down the speed of the attack towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng quickly retreated, putting some distance between him and the terrifying creature. The terrifying creature quickly pounced at Lin Feng. Its sword-like claws slashed at Lin Feng. The void was torn apart. The strength of this creature shocked Lin Feng. It was too strong. Lin Feng's facial expression became grave and solemn. He didn't choose to fight this creature head-on. Instead, he chose to retreat. This creature didn't want to let Lin Feng go. It continued to pounce at Lin Feng. If it didn't kill Lin Feng, it wouldn't stop. Lin Feng dodged and evaded the creature's attacks. After more than 30 rounds, the creature finally rushed in front of Lin Feng. Good. Lin Feng's mouth curled into a cold killing intent. He had been avoiding the creature's attacks because he wanted to find its weakness. Now, Lin Feng had found the creature's weakness. The creature arrived in front of Lin Feng. Its terrifying attack landed on Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng disappeared without a trace. He had just used the Great Void technique, one of the 3,000 Great Daos. Then, he instantly tore through the void and left. In the next moment, Lin Feng arrived behind the terrifying creature and punched at it. This terrifying creature's entire body was covered in a shell. Its defense must be extremely strong. After Lin Feng observed for a while, he found that the shell on the creature's back was weaker. That place should be the creature's Achilles heel. Lin Feng's powerful punch landed on the creature's weak spot. With a poochie sound, the powerful fist force penetrated the weakest part of the shell on the creature's back. The creature's corpse quickly fell to the ground. Lin Feng waved his hand and wrapped the creature's corpse. He took its origin and left. In this world of white fog, danger was everywhere. The deeper one went, the more powerful creatures appeared. Lin Feng saw a group of hundreds of cultivators being surrounded by bloodthirsty demonic wolves. In the end, they were all wiped out. Lin Feng saw the fire origin bugs blotting out the sky and covering the earth. Everywhere it passed, all creatures turned into withered bones, truly dangerous to the extreme. The situation before him could be said to be dangerous everywhere. Every step was dangerous. One wrong step could lead to eternal damnation. Lin Feng went to many places to find the immortal path to heaven, but he failed. Could it be that I really have no fate with the immortal path to heaven? Lin Feng was unusually depressed. The immortal path to heaven had the greatest opportunity. However, he had no fate to enter the immortal path to heaven. It was a great regret. Lin Feng originally wanted to see if he could break through to the giant god realm after entering the immortal path to heaven, but now it seemed that this plan was going to be put on hold. He lay down on a smooth rock to rest. At this time, a woman flew over from above. After seeing the woman, Lin Feng sat up immediately. The woman was none other than Ying Kai. Lin Feng didn't expect to see Ying Kai here. He originally thought that she had entered the immortal path to heaven long ago. This woman dared to walk out of the immortal path to heaven. She must have a way to return. Otherwise, she would be trapped in this mysterious space until her death. Lin Feng couldn't help but think. Thinking of this, he used the Great Void technique and hid in the void, following behind Ying Kai. Chapter 2675. For some reason, Ying Kai had yet to enter the immortal path to heaven. This woman was full of secrets. Lin Feng had hidden himself very well. The Great Void technique was truly powerful. Even Ying Kai had not discovered Lin Feng's whereabouts. A day later, Ying Kai entered a valley. Lin Feng muttered to himself. He did not know why Ying Kai had entered the valley. He waited for a while, but found that there was no movement inside. Lin Feng could not help but frown. Why had Ying Kai not come out for so long? Lin Feng also quietly entered the valley. As soon as he entered the valley, Ying Kai flew out from a cave in the valley. Then Ying Kai glanced in the direction where Lin Feng was hiding. It seemed to be an unintentional glance, but Lin Feng felt that something was wrong. He felt that Ying Kai had discovered him. Ying Kai soared into the sky and flew away as fast as lightning. And just as Lin Feng was about to chase after Ying Kai, a flame-sacred beast rushed out from the cave. It was actually a Fire Luan. Fire Luan was a branch of the Phoenix clan. It had the blood of the phoenix flowing in its veins. It was an extremely terrifying existence. Its body contained the powerful bloodline of a sacred beast. Screech! After the Fire Luan flew out, its sharp claws directly clawed at Lin Feng. Lin Feng was shocked. He had hidden in the void, but this Fire Luan had still seen him. This Fire Luan was really too terrifying. Lin Feng hurriedly operated the arms of dragon and elephant, attacking the Fire Luan. Bang! He and the Fire Luan collided. Then, he was sent flying by the Fire Luan. This Fire Luan's cultivation was really too strong. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. He turned and flew away. The Fire Luan said coldly, "Despicable human cultivators, you stole my treasure. I'm going to kill you all." The Fire Luan quickly chased after Lin Feng. Lin Feng shouted gloomily, "It was that woman who stole your treasure. What does that have to do with me? You two are in cahoots. I'll kill you first, then go after that woman." The Fire Luan was filled with killing intent. Now, Lin Feng knew that he had been tricked by Ying Kai. Originally, Lin Feng thought that Ying Kai had not discovered him, but now it seemed that Ying Kai had already discovered him. It's just that Ying Kai didn't say anything. Ying Kai wanted to steal the Fire Luan's treasure, although she didn't know what kind of treasure it was. But that treasure was something that Ying Kai had schemed to obtain. It must be extraordinary. Now that the Fire Luan had mistaken him for Ying Kai's accomplice, it was exactly what Ying Kai wanted. Ying Kai took advantage of this Fire Luan's pursuit to escape without a trace. It was really killing two birds with one stone. Thinking of this, Lin Feng didn't plan to continue fighting with the Fire Luan. He knew that he was no match for this Fire Luan. So, Lin Feng simply took out the stone sword. Holding the stone sword, he looked at the Fire Luan with a cold expression. Then he said coldly, "Fire Luan, I have the stone sword. Do you really want to fight me to the death?" After seeing the stone sword, the Fire Luan's eyes suddenly focused. Clearly, the Fire Luan recognized the stone sword. It quickly stopped, no longer attacking Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, "I'm not in cahoots with that woman. I've also been tricked by her. She stole your treasure. It's not too late to go after her now. Fine, I'll believe you for now, the Fire Yuan said coldly. It was unknown whether this guy really believed Lin Feng's words, or if it was just looking for a way out. The Fire Yuan quickly rushed into the distance, and soon disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng used the Great Void technique and tailed the Fire Yuan. This time, Lin Feng was a little further away from the Fire Yuan to avoid being discovered. The Fire Yuan should be able to sense the stolen treasure, so it could sense Inkai's whereabouts. After chasing for a day and a night, Lin Feng saw Inkai's figure. Despicable human, hand over the treasure, and I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die a horrible death. The Fire Yuan roared angrily. Take it back if you can. Inkai sneered and continued to rush into the depths. By this time, the Fire Yuan had already caught up to Inkai. It was very difficult for her to shake off the Fire Yuan. The Fire Yuan divine bird used the Fire Yuan claw and directly clawed at Inkai. Inkai's expression darkened slightly, and she waved her hand gently. In front of her, the space distorted. Her ability was called spatial folding. It was an extremely profound immortal art. This immortal technique could cause space to overlap with each other. When the opponent blasted all kinds of attacks, they would be swallowed up by the overlapping space. The Fire Yuan's Fire Yuan claw collided with Inkai's spatial folding. The Fire Yuan claw was immediately swallowed up by the overlapping space floating in front of Inkai. What a powerful technique! Lin Feng's face was full of shock. He felt that this divine ability called spatial folding was somewhat similar to the Great Banishing technique. But obviously, there were also great differences. The Great Banishing art banished other things into a parallel space. However, the Great Banishing art didn't work every time. If the opponent's attack was too powerful, it obviously couldn't banish the opponent's attack into a parallel space. However, this spatial folding was different. No matter how powerful the opponent's attack was, it would be swallowed up as soon as it touched the folded space. Unless one could destroy the folded space with absolute power, there was no way to destroy it. This was the terrifying aspect of the spatial folding. Immortal arts were the sublimation of the Great Tao. The 3,000 Great Taoists were the foundation of the Great Tao. Lin Feng even guessed the spatial folding might have used a part of the Great Banishing arts Tao. Of course, there were other Taoists. Several different Taoists formed the spatial folding divine ability. Lin Feng also discovered something else. After using the spatial folding, Inkai's lips kept moving. She was obviously chanting an incantation. Rumble. At this moment, a blurry ancient road descended from the 9 heavens. The end of the ancient road was connected to the immortal path to the heavens. Heavens, Inkai can actually summon an ancient road to the immortal path to the heavens. Chapter 2676. The ancient road appeared and floated in the air, emitting violent waves. I'm done playing with you. The corners of Inkai's mouth curled up into a cold smile. She stepped onto the ancient road and glanced in the direction of Lin Feng. She obviously knew that Lin Feng was hiding nearby. This woman's methods were extraordinary. Her spatial folding ability had yet to dissipate, and she wanted to use this ability to stop the Fire Yuan. You can't get away. The Fire Yuan could not help but roar in anger. Waves of saint power surged out of the Fire Yuan's body. The Fire Yuan opened its mouth and spat out a ball of destructive energy. Lin Feng guessed that the ball of energy was the Fire Yuan's innate ability. It must be very powerful. Bam! The ball of energy exploded. In an instant, Inkai's spatial folding ability was destroyed. What a powerful Fire Yuan! Lin Feng was very surprised. This fire wand's cultivation was truly terrifying. If they were to fight, even someone as powerful as Inkyre would not be a match for this fire wand. The fire wand gave chase with endless flames, but the ancient road disappeared quickly. It could not catch up at all. Lin Feng also rushed out and chased after the ancient road. It's futile. Inkyre stood on the ancient road and looked at Lin Feng and the fire wand with some pride. Inkyre, just you wait. When I catch you, I'll do it 100 times. 100 times. Lin Feng shouted. You're courting death. Inkyre could not help but glare at Lin Feng fiercely. This otherworldly woman rarely got angry, but now she was angered by Lin Feng. Great divine rainbow art. At this moment, the fire wand suddenly used a powerful ability, and with the fire wand as the starting point, a rainbow-colored divine rainbow appeared. That divine rainbow was like a rainbow that appeared after the rain. It was magnificent and extremely beautiful. The other end of the divine rainbow was connected to the end of the ancient path. Holy shit, this fire wand is amazing. Lin Feng couldn't help but exclaim. He quickly flew towards the divine rainbow. The fire wand could not help but stare coldly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, Brother, let's deal with that woman together. The fire wand nodded and stopped targeting Lin Feng. Lin Feng, on the other hand, stepped onto the divine rainbow. Seeing this scene, Inkyre's face couldn't help but turn unsightly. A single fire wand was already hard enough for Inkyre to contend against. Furthermore, with the addition of Lin Feng, who controlled the stone sword, if they were really caught up, they would definitely not be a match for him. Inkyre quickly rushed towards the heavenly immortal path. Lin Feng and the fire wand also rushed onto the ancient path. Inkyre, don't run. You won't be able to escape. After I catch you, I really want to see what kind of expression you'll have. Lin Feng said with a laugh. Originally, Lin Feng had been looking for a way to enter the heavenly immortal path, but it had all ended in failure. Now, Lin Feng finally saw the hope of entering the heavenly immortal path. Inkyre took the lead and entered the heavenly immortal path. Then Lin Feng and the fire wand also entered the heavenly immortal path. Immortal light flashed. The next moment, Lin Feng found himself in another world. This was a mysterious ancient path. This ancient path was surrounded by immortal qi. On both sides of the ancient path was a vast expanse of white. This is the heavenly immortal path. Lin Feng was shocked. Whoosh, after the fire wand entered the heavenly immortal path, it immediately rushed into the vast expanse of white. It should have sensed the location of its treasure. Lin Feng thought for a moment, then chased after it and entered the vast expanse of white on both sides of the heavenly immortal path. Why is the heavenly immortal path so strange? Is it just an ancient path? Lin Feng looked at the fire wand in confusion. That's right, the heavenly immortal path is an ancient path. After entering the heavenly immortal path, everyone's fortune is different, so what they see and obtain on the path is also different. Some people might obtain many precious treasures and inheritances on the heavenly immortal path, but some people might not obtain anything. The fire wand explained. It was a creature that lived in this mysterious space. Lin Feng guessed that this fire wand might have entered the heavenly immortal path before. What's with the vast expanse of white on both sides of the heavenly immortal path? Lin Feng asked. The vast expanse of white on both sides of the heavenly immortal path is very special. A place like this has many opportunities, but it's also very dangerous. This is because many places here are connected to shattered parallel spaces or worlds. Cultivators who enter here can easily be swallowed by those shattered parallel spaces or worlds. Once they're swallowed, they'll really die without a grave. Of course, other than those shattered parallel spaces and worlds, the most terrifying thing about this place is that there are many terrifying creatures hibernating here. Many of them crawled out of those shattered parallel spaces or worlds. The Fire Wand said. A mournful scream rang out. Is that a cultivator's voice? Lin Feng was shocked. Any cultivator who could enter this place was definitely not simple, but it was obvious that this cultivator had met with disaster. He didn't know what had happened. Don't make a fuss. There are many terrifying creatures here, and many of them have their eyes on us. But they're afraid. The Fire Wand said. Lin Feng knew what the Fire Wand meant by afraid. They were probably afraid of the Fire Wand's strength and the stone sword in his hand. That was why those creatures didn't attack them. In that case, we don't have to worry about the creatures here. Lin Feng said. Of course not. This isn't something to be happy about, because those creatures will report our whereabouts to their superiors. They'll definitely come out to kill us. That's why we have to catch that woman as soon as possible. Otherwise, we might die here. The Fire Wand said. Lin Feng's heart trembled slightly. The Fire Wand was so powerful, and he could control the stone sword. Did the Fire Wand think that even if they joined forces, they wouldn't be a match for those terrifying creatures? From this, it could be seen how powerful those terrifying creatures were. What did that woman in Kai steal from you? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask curiously. The Phoenix Sword. The Fire Wand said in a deep voice, its eyes revealing a murderous intent. Chapter 2677. The origin of the Phoenix clan was extremely ancient. It was rumored that two divine birds were born from heaven and earth. One was called Feng, and the other was called Huang. Later, the Feng and Huang married and gave birth to children. That was how the Phoenix clan came to be. There was a saying that the dragon had 9 children, but the 9 children were different. In fact, wasn't it the same for the Phoenix? The Phoenix had more children than the true dragon. Feng, Huang Wan, and etc. were all descendants of the Phoenix. The Phoenix clan was very rare. It was difficult for ordinary people to distinguish which branch the Phoenix clan belonged to. The Phoenix sword was rumored to be an immortal sword created by the 7th Phoenix Emperor. The Phoenix clan had 2 supreme beings, the Phoenix Empress and the Phoenix Emperor. Since the birth of the first generation Phoenix Empress and Phoenix Emperor, it had been passed down for more than 10 generations. Like the true dragon clan, pure-blooded phoenixes were extremely rare. Only pure-blooded phoenixes could become the Phoenix Empress and Phoenix Emperor. So when Lin Feng heard that the treasure stolen by Inkire was the famous Phoenix sword, he was very surprised. The Fire Wand was a descendant of the Phoenix clan. This clan was extremely powerful and was ranked in the top 3 branches of the Phoenix clan. It seemed that the treasure forged by the 7th Phoenix Emperor was controlled by the Fire Wand. This woman is really scheming. We must catch her. Lin Feng said. He felt that Inkire might have other treasures on her. After catching Inkire, the Phoenix sword would belong to the Fire Wand. As for the other treasures on Inkire, they would belong to Lin Feng. Of course, Lin Feng also wanted to get some top immortal techniques from Inkire. Inkire was a proud daughter of heaven in the heaven realm. The inheritance she obtained was also the most powerful inheritance. For example, the space-folding immortal technique that Inkire used before was really amazing. If he could cultivate it successfully, he would definitely benefit a lot. Inkire definitely had more than one immortal technique of this level. Perhaps she had mastered many such heaven-defying immortal techniques. When he stole them all, he would definitely be able to greatly increase his strength. Thinking of this, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel excited. Of course, the premise was that he could find Inkai was nowhere to be found. Lin Feng couldn't sense her whereabouts, so he could only follow the Fire Luan and chase after her. We can't go any further. It's filled with restrictions, and the void is on the verge of shattering. Once we enter, the void will definitely collapse, and we might die there. Lin Feng used the inheritance of the celestial master and sensed the strange situation in front of him. He said with a solemn expression. The Fire Luan's expression sank slightly, and then it said, "That woman is just ahead. We'll be able to catch up to her very quickly if we pass through." Lin Feng said, "It's too dangerous. If you really want to cross it, you'll most likely die." Lin Feng didn't want to take the risk. It was too dangerous. It was like throwing his life away. "Then we'll take a detour." The Fire Luan said, although the Fire Luan really wanted to catch up to Kai, and take back its phoenix sword. But the Fire Luan wouldn't play around with its life. The two of them took a detour. Roar. In the world of white fog, there was an earth-shaking roar. It was as if there was an earthquake, and the ground shook violently. A terrifying aura spread between heaven and earth, making one's expression change. "The king of this place is roaring," the Fire Luan said in a deep voice. Powerful beasts ran amok here, and the most terrifying one was naturally the king of the beasts. That was an existence that stood at the top of the food chain. Not only was it powerful, but it was also intelligent. Once targeted by an existence of this level, it would be disastrous. Although it might not be targeting us, we're still in danger. The surrounding beasts will soon report our whereabouts to their superiors. The Fire Luan said in a serious voice. Even as powerful as it was, it didn't want to face the king of the beasts in the world of white fog. "Looks like we need to speed up and catch up to that woman in Kai. Lin Feng said. Fire Luan spreads its wings. At this moment, the wings of the Fire Luan suddenly grew from 10 meters to 30 meters long. "Catch me," the Fire Luan said. Lin Feng grabbed the claws of the Fire Luan. The Fire Luan rushed into the depths as fast as lightning. Even if it encountered powerful restrictions, it could break them with a light flap of its wings. The Fire Luan must have activated its phoenix bloodline, so its wings grew bigger and its speed increased greatly. It was at least 4 or 5 times faster than before. Lin Feng actually wanted to sit on the back of the Fire Luan. It was so fluffy and comfortable, but the Fire Luan would never agree. It was a taboo for them. Half a day later, Lin Feng saw a figure in front of him. It was Inkai also saw Lin Feng and the Fire Luan chasing after her. Her pretty face suddenly changed. Inkai, you can't escape. Just surrender. 100 times. 100 times. Lin Feng said with a laugh. Inkai was extremely angry. She was a fairy of the heavens, pure and holy. The people who usually appeared by her side were all young elites, cultured, refined, and courteous. How could she meet someone like Lin Feng? 100 times, 100 times. Inkai was so angry that she gnashed her teeth. Shameless bastard. Inkai scolded. Inkai had never scolded anyone before, but after seeing Lin Feng, she couldn't help but want to scold Lin Feng a few times. Lin Feng said, "You're right. I'm shameless. When I catch you later, I'll let you know what true shamelessness is." Inkai glared at Lin Feng fiercely. She found it hard to maintain her image as a fairy of the heavens in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng, this shameless guy, could always arouse her anger. The Fire Luan was too fast. Its race was known for its speed, and now that it was 4 or 5 times faster than before, it was naturally unimaginable. Inkai was finally caught by the Fire Luan. Lin Feng stepped on the octagonal world, holding the stone sword in his hand, and slashed at Kai-er. Form swap. Swish. Kai-er's body suddenly flashed, and she appeared 20 meters away, dodging Lin Feng's attack. Her body flashed again, and she appeared behind Lin Feng. Her short-distance movement was as fast as teleportation. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. Kai-er's right hand was like a sword, and she directly slashed at Lin Feng. Go to hell. Chapter 2678. The Fire Wand's attack was exceptionally powerful, and Kai did not dare to be careless. She could choose to continue attacking Lin Feng, but it would be difficult to avoid the Fire Wand's attack. Therefore, Kai chose to avoid the Fire Wand's attack. Fulgurating Shadow. Kai once again used this powerful skill, wanting to teleport away. Supreme Aura Intimidate. But at this moment, Lin Feng also unleashed a powerful battle strength, using his Supreme Aura. As soon as the Supreme Aura was unleashed, a powerful restrictive force surged out, directly imprisoning the surrounding space. Kai's speed was greatly reduced. Aura. Kai's expression changed abruptly. This woman was experienced and knowledgeable, and recognized Lin Feng's aura. That's right. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he punched at Kai. The Fire Wand's claws were also grabbing at Kai. A thought gives birth. 100 flowers bloom. Kai made her move, and numerous flower petals appeared around her body, falling from the sky. Then, they protected Kai. Lin Feng and the Fire Wand's attacks were blocked by the petals. This Kai was really powerful. She was fighting against two, and still managed to block the attacks of Lin Feng and the Fire Wand. Divine Phoenix Demon Subduing Way. At this moment, the Fire Wand began to unleash its power, and sharp claws tore the world apart. This superpower was an extremely powerful superpower. It was said that it was created by a Phoenix Emperor. It was so powerful that it could subdue all living things. The Fire Wand tore the petals apart. At the same time, Lin Feng also began to unleash his power. Lin Feng waved the stone sword and attacked. The power of the stone sword could be called peerless and terrifying. Puff, puff. The petals were torn apart by Lin Feng's stone sword. A world in a flower. All of a sudden, Kai once again used an even more powerful technique. Her hands changed hand signs repeatedly, and illusory worlds appeared one after another from the petals in the air. It was unknown what those worlds were. 2 of the petals bloomed, and 2 illusory worlds appeared, swallowing Lin Feng and the Fire Wand into the illusory worlds. Lost. World collapse. Kai's right hand pointed at the illusory world formed by the 2 petals, and the 2 worlds started to explode. Kai wanted to kill Lin Feng and the whole Wand, who were still trapped in the illusion. This Kai was worthy of being called a top heaven's pride of the heavenly realm. Her means were just too terrifying, shocking everyone. Bang, bang, bang. A series of explosions rang out. Kai's lips curled into a cold smile. But at this moment, 2 figures rushed out from the exploding illusory worlds. They were Lin Feng and the Fire Wand. Lin Feng's body was covered in blood from the explosion, but his body was strong enough. He opened a path with the stone sword and forced his way out. Then, he activated his immortal body, and his injuries recovered quickly. The Fire Wand was also injured. Its body was covered in wounds from the explosion, but the Fire Wand was a descendant of the Phoenix and had the ability to be reborn. Its recovery speed was also extremely fast. The injured Fire Wand was enraged as well. It let out a long cry. It spat out a ball of energy. The Fire Wand needed some time to prepare before it could spit out 1 ball of energy. Although it couldn't spit out this kind of energy ball continuously, the power of this energy ball was extremely terrifying. Bang! Along with the sound of a violent explosion, there was a loud sound. The ball of energy exploded instantly. The petals that Inkai had condensed were all blown to pieces. The fire one that had spat out the ball of energy was clearly much weaker. It seemed that this kind of energy ball had consumed a lot of the fire wand's energy. Inkai was blown away. Her face turned pale. Lin Feng had already rushed over. He released his supreme chi to suppress Inkai. At the same time, his peerless sword slashed towards Inkai. Just as the sword was about to slash Inkai's body, Inkai's body released a kind of chi. The chi released from her body was blue in color. Among the 9 types of chi, the blue chi belonged to the 7th level. Roar! The chi released by Inkai turned into a ferocious beast. It was an unknown blue ferocious beast. It roared and tore apart Lin Feng's supreme chi. Chi transformation. Lin Feng's face was full of shock. He never knew that haki could transform into all kinds of forms. It was unbelievable. Inkai sneered, "Your haki is 1 level higher than mine. My haki was originally suppressed by yours, but you don't know how to control it. You can't release the power of your haki. So even if my haki's level is lower than yours, it can still suppress yours." Inkai's words were right. Lin Feng's current use of chi was the simplest use. It was basically releasing chi and suppressing the enemy. This kind of use might only be able to release a very small part of chi's power. But Inkai had already mastered a deeper use of chi. Her chi was not as good as Lin Feng's, but she could release the power of her chi. This was why Inkai was so terrifying. After the ferocious beast tore apart Lin Feng's supreme chi, it quickly rushed towards Lin Feng. Just as it was about to kill Lin Feng released a 2nd type of chi. After releasing his epic chi, it merged with the supreme chi. The power of the 2 types of chi was greatly increased. The ferocious beast formed by Inkai's chi was suppressed by Lin Feng's 2 types of chi. "You have 2 types of chi." Inkai's expression changed. "That's right." Lin Feng sneered and quickly rushed in front of Inkai. He activated his 5-fold arms of dragon elephant and punched towards Inkai. The reason why Inkai was so strong was that she had mastered various terrifying Heaven Realm immortal techniques. And these immortal techniques required mana to be activated. Lin Feng's physical body was suppressing Inkai, so that she could not use her mana. Inkai would definitely lose. After feeling the terror of Lin Feng's punch, Inkai quickly used her palm to block Lin Feng's attack. But in her haste, she was still sent flying by Lin Feng's punch. The Fire Wand's attack arrived. It flapped its wings and swept towards Inkai. Inkai was injured again. Chapter 2679. Ha ha ha. Inkai, did you think that you'd become a prisoner one day? Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. He looked at Inkai with a mocking gaze. Inkai's expression was gloomy. She didn't dare to imagine the terrible consequences of being captured. The Fire Wand flapped its wings. Whoosh! An immortal sword flew out from Inkai's dantian. It was the Phoenix sword. The Phoenix sword was the size of a palm and was fiery red all over. On its surface was a drawing of the Phoenix Emperor. It was beautiful and mysterious. The Phoenix sword's aura was extremely powerful and terrifying. It was worthy of being a treasure forged by the 7th Phoenix Emperor. The Fire Wand swallowed the Phoenix sword in one gulp. "I'm leaving the immortal path to heaven. As for you, do as you see fit." The Fire Wand said. It didn't plan to stay in the immortal path to heaven for long. After saying a few words to Lin Feng, it quickly left. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared without a trace. Roar. Bestial roars shook the sky. After the Fire Luan left, many beasts hidden in the surroundings fixed their eyes on Lin Feng. Without the Fire Luan, those ferocious beasts became even bolder. They wanted to attack Lin Feng and Ying Kai. Lin Feng knew that this wasn't a place to stay for long. He should first find a place to hide and have a good chat with Ying Kai. Lin Feng grabbed Ying Kai's waist and quickly flew into the distance. Roar. Not long after, a ferocious beast pounced out of the white fog. The ferocious beast exuded a terrifying aura, and its entire body was covered in scales. Its body was like a bai, and its head was like a yazi. It was terrifying and ferocious. After charging out, the beast opened its bloody mouth and tried to devour Lin Feng. It wanted to swallow Lin Feng in one gulp. Seeing the beast pounce out, Lin Feng's eyes flashed with killing intent. There were many powerful beasts hidden in the surroundings. He had to kill this beast quickly to scare off the other beasts that hadn't made a move yet. If they could not intimidate those ferocious beasts, the situation would be extremely bad. Lin Feng held the stone sword in his hand and communicated with the remnant soul. Then, with the help of the remnant soul, Lin Feng slashed at the beast that was pouncing at him. This sword, Lin Feng's attack, was peerless and peerless. A puffing sound was heard. Blood splattered everywhere. Lin Feng's sword cleaved the terrifying beast into two halves. The rest of the beasts hidden in the white fog, ready to make a move, stopped attacking Lin Feng after seeing this scene. Obviously, he was intimidated by Lin Feng. As for Lin Feng, he quickly left with Ying Kai. In a mountain range, Lin Feng found a cave, then sealed the cave entrance with restrictions. He looked at Ying Kai, and said indifferently, "Now, tell me all the treasures you obtained in this space and the peerless immortal techniques you have mastered. Then, I might consider letting you go. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. The Heaven Realm rules over thousands of worlds, and my clan is one of the few top clans that controls the Heaven Realm." Ying Kai said aloud. Lin Feng was shocked. He didn't expect Ying Kai's origin to be so great. Lin Feng guessed that Ying Kai was most likely from the Celestial Clan or the Immortal Clan. This was because of the powerful forces that controlled the Heaven Realm. The Celestial Clan and the Immortal Clan belonged to the Human Clan. The other forces did not belong to the Human Clan, but Ying Kai belonged to the Human Clan. Of course, the Celestial Clan and the Immortal Clan were the most ancient human clans. They were powerful, mysterious, and possessed many unimaginably powerful inheritances. "Are you threatening me?" Lin Feng asked. Ying Kai said, "I just want to tell you that if you let me go, we'll be fine." Lin Feng said, "Are you from the Immortal Clan or the Celestial Clan?" "Humph." Ying Kai snorted coldly, but didn't answer Lin Feng. Instead, she said indifferently, "My clan has the ability to see through the universe. If I die here, your identity will be exposed." Lin Feng frowned. He didn't doubt Ying Kai's words. If an ordinary clan didn't have the ability to control the Heaven Realm, it would be impossible for them to control it. "I can teach you a celestial technique. This is the condition for letting me go." Ying Kai loosened her mouth, but the way she acted like she had everything under control made Lin Feng feel a little disgusted. "Who said I'm going to kill you? I can't bear to kill you. Everything you have, whether it's a treasure or a divine ability, this young master doesn't care about them anymore." Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and looked at Ying Kai. Ying Kai was slightly stunned, then said, "What do you want?" 100 times. 100 times. Lin Feng grinned. You shameless. Ing Kai, Er's originally calm eyes finally showed fear. One day later, Lin Feng planned to leave. Ha ha ha, Ing Kai. Wait for me to go to the heaven realm. We'll meet again then. Lin Feng said with a laugh, then quickly left the cave. I'll kill you. I'll definitely kill you. After Lin Feng left, Ing Kai, Er's scream came from the cave. Although the body of this world was condensed from the laws of order, it was the soul of the soul. The laws of order were very special. The bodies condensed from the laws of order were almost exactly the same as the real bodies in the outside world. Therefore, everything that happened here, and everything that happened in the outside world, the feelings produced were exactly the same. Now, Ing Kai couldn't wait to cut Lin Feng into pieces. After Lin Feng left the cave, he rushed towards the immortal path to heaven. Although there were many opportunities in the world of white fog, danger lurked everywhere. He might as well go to the immortal path to heaven to try his luck. Roar. However, at this moment, a furious roar that shook the heavens, and the earth came from afar, shattering the void. Even though there was a long distance, Lin Feng could still feel a monstrous killing intent engulfing the world. A beast king level existence. Lin Feng was shocked. It must be the beast king roaring in the world of white fog. The roar contained monstrous anger. He didn't know what had happened. Could something have happened? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. If nothing had happened, the beast king wouldn't be so angry. Roar, roar, roar. Then the entire world of white fog was filled with the roars of countless beasts. Screech. In the sky, there were countless beasts letting out ear-piercing cries. Not good. Something big must have happened. I can't stay in the world of white fog any longer. Otherwise, it'll be extremely dangerous. Chapter 2680. Rumble. The earth trembled violently. Within the world of white fog, beasts wreaked havoc everywhere. The Beast King had launched a beast tide, causing a disaster. Many cultivators who entered the world of white fog died, miserably in the world of white fog. Lin Feng couldn't rush to the immortal path to heaven because the path to heaven had been completely sealed. There were terrifying beasts everywhere. Once they discovered a cultivator attempting to ascend the immortal path to heaven, those beasts would attack in groups. Even if one's magic power reached the heavens, only death awaited them. Who angered the Beast King? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. Such a powerful existence like the Beast King had been angered, resulting in the current danger. It was unknown who had angered the Beast King and caused such a disaster. Moo! The sound of a bull's roar could be heard as a black bull rushed over from afar. Its body was at least 100 meters tall. It was like a small mountain. It was a demon bull king, and its body emitted a suffocating aura. The demon bull king's spiritual sense was extremely sharp. It discovered Lin Feng and attacked Lin Feng. Lin Feng quickly rushed out from his hiding place. The demon bull king directly crushed the mountain that Lin Feng was hiding in. Human cultivator, you shall become my food. Yi Fuqian's voice rang out. The demon bull king let out an earth-shaking roar. Lin Feng said, Old bull, you're a vegetarian. Don't attack me. Go eat some grass. Demon bull charge. The demon bull king seemed to hate the way Lin Feng addressed it, so it was furious and directly charged at Lin Feng. Its terrifying horns shattered the void as it rushed in front of Lin Feng in an instant. Lin Feng struck at the demon bull king with his palm, but he was sent flying by the demon bull king's powerful strength. What terrifying strength! Lin Feng was shocked. This black bull was definitely not simple. Its bloodline must be extremely terrifying. Otherwise, it couldn't have such tyrannical strength. The demon bull king's strength shocked Lin Feng. Shua! At this moment, a golden light flew out of the void and pierced towards Lin Feng. This attack was too fast. In the blink of an eye, it had already arrived in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng had nowhere to hide. Fortunately, Lin Feng's reaction was fast enough. His palm struck the golden light and sent it flying. At this time, Lin Feng was able to clearly see what the golden light was. It was actually a small golden snake. It was floating in the air, sticking out its forked tongue and looking at him coldly. "Golden snake, this is my prey." The black yak grumbled. The little golden snake said, "I'm afraid it'll be difficult for you to deal with him alone. Why don't the two of us share it?" The yak coldly said, "I never share my prey with others." As soon as he finished speaking, the black yak made his move. He directly rushed into the sky and stepped on the void. Suddenly, an earth-shattering force surged out and blasted towards Lin Feng. Feeling the earth-shattering force, Lin Feng's face couldn't help but reveal a shocked expression. The black yak's attack was too tyrannical. It was unexpectedly strong. Lin Feng quickly shuttled through the void and dodged the black yak's attack. However, at this time, the golden snake had already arrived. It was like a sharp golden spear. It wanted to pierce Lin Feng's body. At this critical moment, it was extremely dangerous and hanging by a thread. Lin Feng originally wanted to send the little golden snake flying with his palm like last time. However, this time, the little golden snake was faster. It was too late. Moreover, the little golden snake seemed to contain an extremely terrifying poison. Once the golden poison entered the body, it would cause terrible consequences. Heaven patching technique. Seeing that Lin Feng's body was about to be pierced by the little golden snake. At this time, Lin Feng disappeared. Xiang Tian took another opportunity. Lin Feng used the heaven patching technique to dodge the little golden snake's attack. He appeared 20 meters away. However, just as he appeared, a sword chi pierced through the void and slashed towards Lin Feng. This was a white sword chi. Its power was abnormally tyrannical. It was like a white rainbow streaking across the sky. Lin Feng had just used the heaven patching technique. He could no longer use it to dodge this attack. Buffed. This attack blasted onto Lin Feng's body and tore apart Lin Feng's body. However, no blood flowed out. It was an afterimage. Great death substitution technique. When a sure kill attack blasted onto the body, one could use the great death substitution technique to die for oneself. This divine ability was similar to the heaven mending technique in some ways. However, there was also an essential difference. The heaven patching technique helped the cultivator dodge a sure kill attack. However, the great death substitution technique was a sure kill attack. After the attack landed on the body, the cultivator, who was supposed to be killed, could use the great death substitution technique to avoid this calamity. This was the difference between the two techniques. Lin Feng appeared 30 meters away. His expression was gloomy as he looked at the white sword chi. That sword chi had turned into a white crane. That sword chi was actually a white crane. Immortal crane, you want to interfere too? The black yak roared angrily. The crane said coldly, "This is a top-grade prey. Anyone who has the strength can hunt it down." The black yak, the golden snake, and the immortal crane. These three existences were all peerless and terrifying. Lin Feng guessed that these three existences were quasi-beast kings of the white fog world. Whoosh! Lin Feng didn't even think about it. He turned around and fled into the distance. The three quasi-beast kings were slightly stunned. Then they roared angrily, "Brat, stop. You can't escape. I'd have to be crazy to stop." Lin Feng curled his lips. Lin Feng's principle had always been to fight if he could win and run if he couldn't. The three cultivators in front of him were terrifying. If there had only been one of them, Lin Feng would have been able to fight against it. However, 3 of them were surrounding him. Lin Feng naturally had to flee. Preserving his life was the most important thing. Nothing else mattered. Lin Feng stepped on the 8 directions world. 8 illusory small worlds appeared beneath his feet. His speed was raised to the extreme. Every step he took was as if he was passing through 8 small worlds. The black yak's body was huge, and its speed was the slowest. Lin Feng was the first to shake it off. The golden snake was extremely fast over short distances, but it couldn't maintain that speed over long distances. Lin Feng quickly shook it off as well. The only troublesome one was the immortal crane. It was extremely fast, but Lin Feng still managed to shake it off in the end. The 3 quasi-beast king-level existences were very angry because they had lost track of a top-quality prey. The beast tide was too terrifying. Slaughter was everywhere. Many hidden cultivators were discovered by the beasts. One had to know that cultivators who could enter the heavenly path were definitely cultivators with great fortune. Many people died, tragically, in the beast tide. At this time, in the distant void, 2 suns rose into the sky. However, the 2 suns were cold and sinister. They weren't real suns, but 2 cold eyes. They were the eyes of the terrifying Beast King. Chapter 2681. After the Beast King appeared, there was complete silence. Even the roars of the beasts had disappeared. Now, the beasts were kneeling on the ground, trembling. Once the Beast King was enraged, it would attack regardless of whether one was a foreign cultivator or a beast. What kind of existence is this? Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. That Beast King was too terrifying. Even though it was far away, Lin Feng still felt his heart tremble. Could it be a great emperor-level existence? Lin Feng thought of a certain possibility. Then, he couldn't help but feel shocked. If it was really a great emperor-level existence, it would be too shocking. An existence of this level would be an absolute overlord in all the worlds. Even in the heavenly realm, a great emperor-level existence, it would be an overlord. This existence shouldn't belong to the heavenly immortal path, right? Could it have come to the heavenly immortal path from a shattered space? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He thought of a certain possibility. The heavenly immortal path was connected to the world of white fog, which was connected to many shattered spaces and parallel worlds. Perhaps this Beast King had come from a shattered space or a parallel world. What kind of creature is it? It's too far away. I can't see clearly. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He tried hard to see that terrifying existence clearly. However, it was hazy and blurry. He couldn't really see it clearly. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. That terrifying Beast King only appeared for a short while and then immediately disappeared. Then the beasts became even crazier. They seemed to have received some kind of order and began to search for cultivators who had entered the world of white fog. Any cultivator who was found by those beasts rarely had a good ending. On this day, Lin Feng saw more than 10 cultivators flying over from afar. These cultivators were all injured. He didn't know which great world they were from. Their auras were very powerful. It was obvious that they were all top experts. I don't know who stole the Beast King's egg and implicated us all. Damn it, a cultivator said with a grim look on his face. His voice was filled with killing intent. Clearly, he was in a state of extreme fury. If I find out who he is, I'll definitely tear him to pieces. Another cultivator said, his voice filled with cold, killing intent. This matter indeed made many innocent people who were implicated extremely angry. The reason for that was because innocent people, were attacked by ferocious beasts. Many people even saw their relatives, friends, and fellow disciples die tragically under the attacks of the ferocious beasts. Naturally, a lot of hatred would be born in his heart. Bestial roars could be heard from afar as a large number of ferocious beasts rushed over. "We can't stay here for long. Let's go." The cultivators quickly left. So this is the reason for the Beast King's rage. Lin Feng couldn't help but scratch his chin. Then, he couldn't help but curse at the cultivators who stole the Beast King's eggs. How immoral! Stealing the beast egg and incurring the wrath of the Beast King, indirectly causing the deaths of so many people. It was truly incomparably abominable. Lin Feng also quickly left the area. Not long after, he saw the golden snake, the red-crowned crane, the black yak, and an 8-armed demonic ape besieging a powerful cultivator. That cultivator's cultivation was abnormally tyrannical. Under the siege of 4 quasi-beast king-level ferocious beasts, he actually held on for dozens of rounds. He tried to break out of the encirclement, but in the end, he failed. The red-crowned crane turned into a white sword chi and slashed through the air. Puchi! The cultivator's head was chopped off by the sword chi formed by the red-crowned crane. "I can't believe I died just like that." The cultivator's head let out an unwilling roar. Then his body dissipated, leaving behind only his soul origin, which was then devoured by the 4 quasi-beast king-level existences. Such a prodigy died, just like that. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. He felt that the cultivator who was killed was stronger than him. Because Lin Feng didn't have the confidence to withstand dozens of attacks from the 4 quasi-beast king-level existences. But the cultivator who was killed just now was able to do it. This was enough to prove that the cultivator was strong. But that cultivator's fate was not good. He was actually blocked by the 4 quasi-beast king-level existences. If he could continue to grow, he would definitely become a giant-level expert in the future. The 4 quasi-beast king-level existences quickly left. They probably went to find their next target. I wonder if the Beast King left its nest. Is there any other treasure in the Beast King's nest? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. After thinking about this, his eyes suddenly lit up. Whoosh! He turned into a lightning bolt and quickly rushed towards the Beast King's nest. Lin Feng felt that after the beast egg was stolen, the Beast King must have gone out to find the thief. So he felt that now was the best time to get close to the Beast King's nest. Maybe he could get some treasures from the Beast King's nest. Of course, if the Beast King didn't leave its nest, Lin Feng would immediately escape. Along the way, he encountered many powerful fierce beasts. It was actually extremely difficult to avoid these fierce beasts. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. So Lin Feng saw many battles along the way. They were all battles between fierce beasts and cultivators. But Lin Feng avoided those fierce beasts time and time again, because he cultivated the Great Void technique. His body could perfectly merge with the void. This Great Void technique was of great use now. If it wasn't for the Great Void technique, the 3,000 Great Tao, Lin Feng would definitely have encountered many battles. With the help of the Great Void technique, Lin Feng deceived everyone along the way. 3 days later, he saw a huge mountain peak. Lin Feng had never seen such a huge mountain peak. That mountain peak was surrounded by 9 huge mountain ranges. One mountain range was 300 to 400 miles long, and that mountain peak was 200,000 meters high. At a glance, there was no end to it. Heavens, there's actually such a huge mountain peak. It's unbelievable. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. Nature's uncanny workmanship. It could create many landscapes that would amaze cultivators. Just like the huge mountain peak in front of him, Lin Feng quickly rushed towards the depths. He found that the 9 mountain ranges were very quiet. There were no roars of beasts at all, not even the sounds of insects and birds. Perhaps it was because this was the Beast King's nest, but no fierce beasts dared to approach. Even insects didn't dare to approach this area. What is that? Chapter 2682. There was a huge beast skin in the middle of the mountains. It was extremely huge, at least 30 to 40,000 meters long. Upon closer inspection, it actually looked like the skin of a python. Lin Feng quickly rushed over and carefully inspected it. A look of shock appeared on his face. It was not the skin of a python, but it was somewhat similar to one. This kind of skin was extremely hard and was a good material for forging magic treasures. However, the entire skin was tens of thousands of meters long. Lin Feng did not have a storage ring on him, so he could not take it with him. What kind of creature shed this skin? Isn't it too huge? Lin Feng could not help but take a deep breath. What he had seen and heard today was simply too shocking. Even he felt a sense of shock. Lin Feng carefully flew toward the huge mountain. He carefully sensed for a while and did not find the aura of the Beast King. This made Lin Feng very happy. It seemed that the Beast King had really left. In that case, he could visit the Beast King's lair and see if he could find anything good. Swoosh! Lin Feng turned into a bolt of lightning and quickly flew toward the Beast King's lair. So many beast bones. Lin Feng saw a mountain of bones at the bottom of the huge mountain. The pile of bones was 30 to 40,000 meters high. He did not know how many creatures had to be killed to be able to pile up such a huge mountain of bones. Lin Feng flew toward the top of the huge mountain. Halfway up the mountain, he saw an extremely huge cave. He landed outside the cave and saw that there were more than 10 jade snake orchids growing outside the cave. The jade snake orchids were an extremely rare sacred medicine. They needed 300,000 years to mature. At present, the dozen or so jade snake orchids had already turned into a jade-like color. This meant that the jade snake orchids had already matured. There's still a hint of green. It should have just matured. Lin Feng came in front of the jade snake orchids and carefully observed them. The jade snake orchids were very special sacred medicines. If they were not mature, they would be highly poisonous. One could not touch them casually. If one touched them, one would be poisoned to death. However, once it matured, the jade snake orchid would become an extremely precious heavenly treasure because it could increase a cultivator's cultivation. Lin Feng plucked a dozen jade snake orchids and stuffed them all into his mouth. Then Lin Feng felt his body begin to heat up. Lin Feng knew that the jade snake orchid was starting to take effect. He hurriedly circulated the Archean dragonesque elephant art to absorb the medicinal power of the jade serpent orchid. It didn't take long. The medicinal efficacy of the jade snake orchid was completely absorbed by Lin Feng. After absorbing the medicinal power of the jade snake orchid, Lin Feng's cultivation was at the beginning stages of the ninth heaven of the heavenly deity realm. He had reached the late stage of the ninth firmament heavenly god realm. It was extremely difficult for Lin Feng to break through to the next cultivation level. The jade serpent orchid had helped him break through to the top of the ninth celestial god layer. Lin Feng was extremely happy. Soon, he would break through to the 10th celestial god layer. Once he broke through to the 10th heavenly layer of the heavenly deity realm, the next step was to start accumulating cultivation and prepare to break through to the giant god realm. With Lin Feng's accumulation, if he broke through to the giant god realm, at that time, he would definitely be like a dragon entering the sea and an eagle soaring into the sky. The world was so big that he could go wherever he wanted. Then, Lin Feng entered the huge cave. The cave was incomparably quiet. He started to walk. There would even be thumping footsteps. The cave was pitch black. One couldn't even see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. And it also emitted a strong stench. The environment of the Beast King's residence naturally couldn't be good. Along the way, Lin Feng kept his divine consciousness open. He was very cautious, because entering a place like the Beast King's lair, he had to be more cautious. If he wasn't careful, he would probably only have a dead end when the time came. As he gradually went deeper into this huge and deep cave, the stench emitted from the cave also gradually disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by a faint fragrance. This made Lin Feng very surprised. Where did this fragrance come from? He. Suddenly, laughter came from inside. Lin Feng's spirit was suddenly shaken. It was really a woman's voice. A woman was laughing. This made Lin Feng very puzzled. Why were there women in the Beast King's lair? Could it be that the Beast King was hiding a mistress in a golden house? He carefully sneaked over. Soon, Lin Feng saw the belly of a mountain appear in front of him. In the belly of the mountain, there was a hot spring. At this moment, there were 2 women sitting in the hot spring. These 2 women were rare beauties with 9 foxtails. They were actually women of the 9-tailed fox clan. These 2 beautiful women were bathing. "Young master, we see you. Don't hide anymore. Come in quickly, and let us serve you as you bathe." The 2 women's delicate voices came out. Hearing these 2 women's voices, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel his blood boil. Suddenly, a strong thought emerged in his mind. That was to quickly rush over and enjoy the service of these 2 beautiful women. But at this moment, Lin Feng felt that something was off. "Young master, what are you waiting for? Come quickly." The 2 women were extremely seductive. They continuously tempted Lin Feng. At this moment, Lin Feng forced himself to close his eyes with great willpower, then activated Luya's stargazing chart. Swoosh! The women in front of him disappeared. What appeared in front of him was a huge cave. There was indeed a pool in the cave, but it wasn't a hot spring pool. He didn't know what kind of spirit liquid was in the pool. The spirit liquid was surrounded by immortal light. Lin Feng quickly rushed over and looked at the ingredients of the hot spring pool. Lin Feng was very surprised. It was actually an illusion stone. This type of illusion stone was extremely terrifying. It could create a powerful illusion, silently causing a cultivator to fall into an illusion and be unable to extricate themselves. If Lin Feng hadn't cultivated Luya's stargazing chart, he would probably have fallen for it today. Lin Feng looked at the spirit liquid in the pool. He sensed the aura of the stars from the spirit liquid. He also sensed the power of immortal qi. The spirit liquid seemed to contain the power of the stars and immortals. Could this be the legendary immortal spirit liquid? Lin Feng thought of the treasure he saw in the Taoist scriptures. It was a kind of immortal spirit liquid formed by fusing the power of the stars and immortals. Its value was unimaginable. "I'm really rich." Lin Feng looked at the immortal spirit liquid in the pool in surprise. He immediately used the great devouring technique to devour all the immortal spirit liquid and stored it in his dantian, preparing to refine it. Lin Feng was about to leave. Suddenly, he sensed a sinister and terrifying aura enveloping his body. Lin Feng looked in the direction of the aura. There was a huge and deep cave there.